Hello, gamers. You're listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. This is episode number 122. And welcome back to another edition of the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. I'm Brent Felsing, and joining me tonight, the entire crew, Ben Boyce, Frankie Ayler, and Bender Holt. Gentlemen, it's good to be back. Good to see your smiling faces again. How are we doing this evening?
Good.
Pretty good.
All right, everyone's doing good. That's good to hear. Frankie, it looks like you're all situated, moved into your new penthouse suite. Very spacious, very luxurious. Looks lovely. How you liking it?
It's all right so far. Still have some gripes. Everything here is really short. I'm next to the kitchen now, so that's great.
That's perfect.
Your refrigerator is tiny.
Oh no,
like really tiny. Like I have to crouch down to like actually get in there.
Is this like the Office Space in Being John Malkovich, where John Cusack has to like squat down because he's on the middle floor?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no,
basically, yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, outside of that, it's a little outdated, but seems all right.
Hey, no asshole.
Couch is really comfortable.
Yeah, and no asshole neighbors. So win.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
Let me give you this is my crib right there. You see that there? That's where all the magic happens. That's where 30 hours of Horizon Zero Dawn went down this week.
I thought you were referring to something else completely when you said the magic happens. I was like, whoa.
Put the age gate up on this show.
Uh-huh.
Getting dirty already. Well, it's good to have you back, man. I know you were off for a while. Looks like you're all set up in the new house. You're making some headway through Horizon Zero Dawn. That's awesome. So it's good to see you back, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Bender, what's good with you, homeboy?
Not much, man. Just living the dream.
Living the dream. That's awesome. That's awesome. And Mr. Boyce, how are you doing this evening, buddy?
Well, I'm fine now that your smiling mug is back on the show.
Hey.
So thanks for joining us
For one more week, anyways,
Yeah,
and
appreciate
then
it.
Gone next week. So.
Yeah, just a total disregard for the show.
Hey, man, next week is the 1 week of the year where the wife gives me her blessing, and she's like, all right, go be young again. And a bunch of my buddies from high school, like Moudini and a couple others, we all go up north for a guys' weekend up to Torch Lake, which is still one of the most beautiful lakes in the world. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And we just defile the place. I mean, we go up there, and we usually have our buddy brews a bunch of beer, and we go up there and just cut loose. Which at age 37 means we go up there and we fall asleep by 10 o'clock and just catch up on some sleep that none of us get anymore.
Yep.
But no, it's always a good time going up there with those guys and just kind of like I said, you don't have to worry about everything. You just go up there, enjoy the view, drink a bunch of beer, ride on the boat, and have a good time. So really looking forward to that next weekend. But
you got a friend who brews beer?
Yes, my buddy Tom. He brews his own beer, kegs it. He's got a couple of crafts ready for us, so it's gonna be pretty intense. He makes really, really strong beer. I mean, it's potent stuff. Like it's fun to taste for about the first 3 glasses. Then you just don't even know where you're at anymore. You're out there. You're out there. So it's gonna be a good time. Really looking forward to it. But Let's talk about what we've been playing this week. Let's jump on this really quick. Boyce, I want to come to you first simply because you streamed probably the most exciting game this week, Speedrunners, on the Thursday night Indie Spotlight. Talk a little bit about Speedrunners real quick, man, because this game looks fun as hell.
Yeah, it's really fun. I didn't know a lot about the game before. You know, we saw it on Games with Gold recently. It came out on there, so we saw a little bit of the trailer from that. So outside of the trailer for the game, didn't really know anything about this other than I liked the way it looked. Looked like a cool game.
Mm-hmm.
Said, what the hell? Let's give this a shot on the Spotlight. Streamed it on Thursday this week. Obviously, with the holiday on Tuesday, some of the game releases for the week got pushed back. So we fired up Speedrunners on Thursday. It was an awesome game, man. It's a really cool concept. It takes the idea of kind of these endless runners that we've seen a million of them, and it gives you total agency over your character to kind of run and race against these other characters in this competitive setting. And the stages are intricately designed, and there's lots of different pathways and things you can take to get from one point to another. There's all these different items, like something out of like a Mario Kart game or something that you're picking up as you're running through all these crazy items that you use to try and get a leg up on your competition. There's a grappling hook that actually swaps places with you, with one of the runners that you're racing against, which is a total pain in the ass. As you're running, you're like, man, I'm in the lead, I'm about to make it, and then some guy just grabs you and puts you back in the back of the pack. So that was annoying as hell. But yeah, it's a really fun game. I played through some of the single player campaign on the stream. That was fun. I had a good time racing against some of the goofy competitors they put you against on there. And then I hopped into multiplayer for the last part of the stream and gave it a go online against some other real people, and that's tough. Those people are on there. They're they know all the tricks and they know all the different routes to take across the level. So it takes some learning of the different levels to try and get from point A to point B as efficiently as possible. But yeah, I would love to jump in there with you guys and do like a short pause stream of that game. I think it would be just a ton of fun. I love the style of that game. The art style and the music as well reminds me of The Incredibles, which is a movie I love. So can't say enough good things about speedrunners. Really enjoyed my time with it, and yeah, I can't wait till we can get in there and race against each other, man.
Yeah, I ended up downloading the game right after the stream because it looks like a lot of fun. I mean, when I first saw the trailer, I was like, oh, okay, this looks okay. It's like an endless runner where you race people. But watching you play it and just listening to the excitement, I was sold on it. And you mentioned the grappling hook. You can use it to trade positions. Man, there were some people, when you were racing online against other people, that used that thing to get around the map more efficiently and much quicker, especially when you're coming around corners where you got to drop and cut back the other way. They were dropping down and grappling off the hook or off the ceiling right there to kind of continue their momentum the other way. It seemed to be also used, for strategy purposes as well, not just to take down your enemies. But that game looked like a hell of a lot of fun, and I ended up picking it up right away. So I thought it was a killer stream and a really good time. So thanks for streaming that. It was a great stream. Check it out. Speedrunners. It's available for $14.99?
Yeah, $14.99.
$14.99, and then there's a $16.99 version that comes with the 4 additional deluxe items that you can buy individually. So I picked it up. I can't wait to play it with you. Bender, Frankie, any interest in speedrunners after watching that stream?
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Maybe.
Wow, I guess it'll just be you and me, Ben. That's cool. Frankie. You've been playing some Horizon Zero Dawn. How's that working out?
Quite well. I've in the middle of all this moving, I didn't really get to play anything. I stupidly started the game while I was in the middle of moving, so finally getting settled in and actually getting some real time in with that game, it's addicting. It's been one of those games where I sit down, do a couple things, next thing I know, it's like 6 hours later. So, I was talking to Bender about this because he said the same problem where you start playing the game and, just the way that the map's designed, like you have all these collectibles, you have side missions, you have all this stuff you could do. And, I'd start out like, all right, well, I'm just going to go, I'll get this one collectible thing and be done. But by the time you get there, it's like, well, the side mission that I was thinking about doing is over here. I'll go do that too. You finish the side mission, you're next to more stuff to do. It's just this continuous loop of, okay, well, I'm one more thing. And then, 6 hours later, low controller battery notifications. And yeah, but that game is really great. The gameplay is a lot of fun. Getting in there and like kind of experience, like meeting these different types of robots they have in the game. Just the variety of these things is insane. Ben and I were talking before the show, but there's one in particular. It's called was it a rock burrower? Is that what they're called?
Rock breaker.
Rock breakers. So what these things are, these massive, I don't know how to describe them. They're kind of like a sandworm. Like I don't know if you've played Darksiders, but like Stygia. It's like a big, massive like thing that burrows
like a
underground.
Giant mole. Kind of like a giant mole. It has these claws that it uses to burrow underground.
Yeah. So like, this thing is brutally challenging to figure out how to like take down, because every time you think you have an advantage, it's going underground and back out of the way, and then it just kind of pops up anywhere. And then like as you get it closer to death, it'll start burrowing more and like doing a pop-up thing, reburrow and doing that. Like it's like the game's challenging. The different enemies that it throws at you, just like there's like this behemoth. It's called the behemoth, but like this big massive thing that charges at you, and I think it has a cannon. Like just finding these things, figuring out how to take them down is really fun. And I love it, dude. Like exploring that map, you never really know what you're gonna run into. You know, like you have different icons all over the place, but yeah, like I was telling Bender before, like I've had moments where I'll be fighting something and then like a sawtooth or a thunderjaw will just kind of walk up behind me and start beating on me behind, while I'm trying to kill this other thing. It's addictive. It's a lot of fun. So the story itself, though, really great. I forget her name, Ashley Birch.
Mm-hmm.
That's the voice actress. Dude, she is fantastic. I love her.
Yeah, she's really good in that game.
She really is. So I think that was like her first like lead character role. Because I don't know if you really count Chloe as a lead character yet.
Kind of.
But yeah, I mean, kind of. But yeah, but everything about that game is great. The music, the voice acting, the story is really cool so far. Just one of the story beats I just ran into is like kind of the story itself, like the way they end a lot of these missions. It's like, oh, I need to find out what this is all about. So it's cool because like Zero Dawn is actually a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought it was part for the title, but apparently it's an actual thing. So I'm gonna learn about what that is.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. I like it. It's really fun. Looking forward to hopefully getting the platinum trophy by the end of the week.
Oh man,
that's what we're shooting for. So
that's awesome.
A lot of fun though. Great time.
Good to hear, man. That's awesome. You mentioned Rockbreaker, and it reminds me of this gun that I just got in Destiny. What the hell is it called again? I can't remember what it is. It's a sniper rifle. It's supposed to be pretty good, but I mean, you guys all have it already, so you guys know what I'm talking about. But anyways,
all right, you guys have a good show.
Wow, man, salty much. Bender, what have you been playing this week, dude?
This week I've been on a Marvel Heroes Omega kick.
Oh my!
Playing that game quite a bit. I'm really enjoying it. I purchased the Spider-Man pack to get into the beta.
Mm-hmm.
So played it a little bit in the beta, but then when I found out that they don't carry over the progression, I stopped playing the beta.
Mm-hmm.
But now that it's out, now the final version is out. I've been playing it a lot. I like all the different heroes. They've got a lot of different heroes, and they all played a little bit differently. There's a different strategy for each character that you choose. They let you play each hero up to level 10 for free, and you can purchase things with in-game currency, or you can use real money to buy additional heroes and stuff. Got Spider-Man. I'm also up to level 20 now, so he's my main.
Damn, Bender, you're at 20 now.
Yeah, I played it a lot today. And I've been trying out some of the other heroes, and some of them I like, some of them I don't. Some of them are very tough to solo. Like, for example, Black Panther doesn't even have a melee attack at the first, so he's very difficult to try to take down some of the early bosses without any melee attack.
Mm-hmm.
I just recently one of my favorite characters that I've tried out so far is Squirrel Girl. I just tried her out. She's awesome. Like, I did not expect. I was just like, I'll try her out. I don't know a whole lot about the character, but I was like, I'll try her. She's really good in the game. Like she's got this move where she like spins around and slashes with her claws, and like she can take out like big groups like that. You can just keep pressing it real quick, and she attacks really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And she every time she attacks, like an army of squirrels starts gathering around her, and they start following her around, and they'll attack enemies as well. So you could be attacking a group of guys, the squirrels will run over and attack another guy, and they'll take him out before you even get over there. And
wow,
it's really, yeah, she's really, really good. So I actually did use some of my in-game currency to unlock her, so I'm going to try to get her up to level 60 as well.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to eventually get the platinum in the game because it seems attainable. It's something that's going to be time-consuming, but not too difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It's stuff that it just requires time. If you play the game enough, you're going to be able to do it. Like, one of the trophies is for getting 5 heroes up to level 60. So that's going to take some time, but
Mm-hmm.
it's if you just keep playing the game, you'll be able to do it. But yeah, I like the game a lot, so I'm hoping maybe you guys can jump in with me every once in a while, and we can roll as a crew. That'd be fun. Yeah. But that's it. That's all I've been playing, really. 'Cause I already talked about Crash Bandicoot and talk about Destiny and all that stuff. So
right. Now here's my question for you guys. Like, I didn't buy any of the Founders packs, so I don't get any of the cool like characters. But how, like, can I buy a specific character in game? Like, using the, I'm assuming you can buy those money packs that are up there now in the store. Can you unlock characters that way?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Okay.
can unlock individual characters if you want. I think they give you some. Don't they give you some currency to start with? And
Yeah, once you complete the tutorial, they give you a set of in-game currency, which I believe you can use to unlock at least one hero for free in the game.
Okay.
So you just after you finish the tutorial.
Okay. All
yeah,
right. Cool.
the heroes will be different amounts to unlock. Some of them are a lot more expensive than the other ones, but there's a select number of heroes that you'll be able to unlock with whatever they give you in the in-game currency.
Okay.
So, yeah,
'Cause-
but you can play any of them up to level 10 for free. So you can try them all out, see which one you like, and then
Oh, you
decide
can.
which one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if I was gonna have to go in there and just blindly pay for one if I wanted to have
No,
like
no.
a cool character.
Every hero is playable up to level 10 for free. So you'll have some time to try them out and see which one you like before you decide which one you want to shell out for.
Awesome.
Yeah, you can basically play through the entire first chapter before you get up to level 10. So you can play a significant amount of the game before you hit level 10.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I got it downloaded, so I'll be ready to hop on whenever you guys wanted to give it a go. Maybe tomorrow night. Anybody?
Yeah,
Bueller?
I'd be down for that.
I'll be at a concert.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Who are you going to see?
Chevelle,
Where's that at?
House of Blues.
Oh, okay. Not too far from you?
Nice.
About a half hour.
Worth the trip?
Worth the trip.
Awesome. We expect to see pictures on Twitter, buddy.
Maybe.
Maybe, he says. He might be too busy partying. That's cool, man. Well, yeah, what did I play this week? Oh, I played Implosion on the Nintendo Switch, a game that, again, Nintendo makes it so difficult for you guys to do a new release list. Implosion wasn't on the list last week, but there it is. Implosion came out this week. And I saw it on the eShop store, and, it mentioned it was a hack and slash game. I looked at the trailer. Looked pretty much like what you would expect from a Platinum Games owner or even God of War combat. You take out groups of enemies, build your combo up. And, it was originally a mobile game back in 2015, came out on iOS and I believe Android phones. And, we're all here. We're not really big mobile players, but to see this game come over to the Switch, I think it was a good game to bring over to the Switch because, obviously you got Breath of the Wild. That's a large game. That's a big game. Mario Kart 8 is a big game to play. I was looking for something that'd be different than what's on the store right now and that I could play in bite-sized bursts, and that's what you can do with Implosion. I mean, the missions take, 3 to 4 minutes tops to go through, but there's objectives. There's actually a pretty cool progression system to build up your character's mech armor. It was a really fun stream. It was a really fun game to play. It's just it's something I think is perfect for a handheld mode when you're on the go. Like I said, play through a mission, takes you 4 or 5 minutes, and you're done. Complete the special objectives, get some extra XP. It's a fun little game. It's nothing mind blowing. It's not gonna set the sales charts on fire, but it's a cool little game to have on the Switch. And for $11.99, it seems like there's a lot to do in this game for $11.99. So I'm really, really happy with that purchase so far. Check out the video. It's on our YouTube channel where you can also find the Speedrunners video as well. It's Implosion, Never Lose Hope. It's available now on the Nintendo Switch for $11.99. Boys, let's jump into the new releases. We got quite a list of games here. What's coming out this week, buddy?
Let's get right to it. We will start at the top here with Final Fantasy XII, The Zodiac Age. It's making its way out to the PS4 this week. It'll be available, of course, both digitally and at retail. Now, this has always been an interesting entry in the Final Fantasy series because this game is so different than all the other Final Fantasy games that came out. It came out towards the end of the PlayStation 2's life cycle, and it had its group of fans that absolutely loved this game, and many consider this to be the best Final Fantasy ever made. And then you have a whole other group that were like, what the hell is this? This is not the Final Fantasy I know and love. Like I don't like this game. So you've got these polar opposites of the spectrum with Final Fantasy fans when this game came out. Over the years, people have come to appreciate this game more and more, and people are really excited that Final Fantasy XII is getting a remaster. Now, I've never actually played Final Fantasy XII, but I've always heard some really cool things about it. I had the game pre-ordered, but I had to cancel it because I just don't have time to play this game right now. This is a huge game. There's tens and tens of hours that go into this game, playing it through to completion. So at some point I would like to get into the Zodiac Age. The remaster, from what I understand, is really, really good on this game. So it sounds like they did a really good job putting this together, from the sound to the visuals to the way they've implemented some of the Japanese-only features from the international version of the game into the Zodiac Age here. Sounds like this is an excellent package for Final Fantasy fans that they should not pass up. Brent, any interest in the Zodiac Age, man?
Like you, I had a pre-order, but I canceled it just because I have no time to play this game right now. Like you said, Final Fantasy games aren't games you just pick up and like, oh, I'll just play 10 hours here. This is a game that's going to require a lot of time to play through, and I just don't have the time to jump into it. It didn't seem like a smart purchase at this time, but I am interested in it. But this one's going to be on the back burner for quite a while.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the more and more I read about this one, the more and more I want to play this one. Bender, you're a newly christened Final Fantasy fan. You got that shiny Final Fantasy 15 Platinum on your trophy shelf there. What are your thoughts on the Zodiac Age? Any interest in getting into this one? See what it's about?
I'm definitely interested in it, but like you, I just feel like I don't have time with all the other games I've been wanting to play lately.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I can safely wait for this one till it drops in price and then go pick it up later.
Mm-hmm.
But I am definitely interested in this and checking this game out at some point. I want to go back and try all the landmark Final Fantasy titles, and I know this is one of the higher rated ones, so I'll definitely check it out later on sometime.
Yeah, it's lauded for its really interesting combat system, which they call the Gambit system, which takes into account it's kind of like a real-time system, but you utilize multiple members of your party, and it's a really, really interesting system when you read about all the intricacies that go into it. Frankie, this is the next one after Zero Dawn for you?
Not quite. I am interested in it. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got Andromeda on deck, so
Ooh.
not yet.
Andromeda on deck, eh? Cool. So I feel bad that I don't have time to sit down and play this game, but hopefully at some point in the future I can finally experience Final Fantasy 12. That'll be out this Tuesday on the PlayStation 4. Also this week, Minecraft Story Mode returns with Season 2, Episode 1, Hero in Residence. Anybody play the first season of Minecraft Story Mode at all? No. I didn't play it either. Heard some good things about it, though. I know there's a lot of people that enjoyed it. I know my kids are excited about this game. They absolutely love Minecraft, so I'm sure this will show up on my system at some point in the near future. But they kept a nice release schedule with Season 1 of Minecraft Story Mode, so hopefully they can do the same thing with Season 2 here with Hero in Residence. First episode this week on multiple platforms, PS4, Xbox One, iOS, PC, you name it's probably on there. Now, next on this list is Mr. Shifty, a game that has looked very cool on the Switch in the past. It's coming over to the PS4 this week, so this will be the game that we fire up for the Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight this week, because I think Mr. Shifty looks rad. I've always thought it looked rad, but now that Mr. Shifty's going to have trophies, now Mr. Shifty's going to come home. And and this game looks like Nightcrawler meets Hotline Miami, which sign me the F up for that. 'Cause that the style of this game is really cool. It's got almost a comic book look to it in terms of its art and animation. It's got the top down Hotline Miami look to it. It's really fast paced action. There's a teleportation mechanic. It just looks like an awesome game. Have any of you guys played this on the Switch?
I didn't get it when it came out. I was really interested in it. I was real close to picking it up, but I ended up passing on it for the time being. But this, like you mentioned, this game looks sweet as hell, dude.
Yeah.
I bought it on the Switch.
Oh, did you? But
did
you haven't
you?
played it yet?
Nope, I lent my Switch to Jen's sister. So I was actually going to play that when when we were moving in September, but
Wah, wah, wah.
basically.
Yeah, things change. Yeah, but I can't wait to play this. Looking forward to this. This is Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, on our YouTube channel. Mr. Shifty will be firing up. Give it a go, and see what it's all about. I know there was a few technical issues on the Switch version from what I read, so hopefully they've ironed that out for the PS4 release. Not entirely sure though if that was in the PC version as well. I'm not sure. But it's available on the Switch and the PC now, on the PS4 this Tuesday. Like I said, really looking forward to playing that one. Another very cool looking game this week is Serial Cleaner. With just an absurd premise here. It takes like a 1970s aesthetic, which looks like it looks like something out of the Beastie Boys Sabotage video. So it takes that aesthetic, and it puts you in the role of this guy whose task is to clean up murders, basically. So you're the guy that gets called in after like the mob does a hit or like a serial killer does his thing. You got to come in, clean up the evidence, and take care of it before the police catch you. So just an absurd premise. It actually reminds me a lot of Party Hard in the way it kind of looks and plays. You know, that was another game with just an absurd premise, but it at its heart it was kind of like a stealth, action title, and that's basically what Serial Cleaner is. You got to kind of stealthily work your way around the maps, avoid the police, and get the scene cleaned up before they catch you. Brent, this is another one we will probably be streaming this week, and you'll probably take the reins on that one. What are your thoughts on what you've seen from Serial Cleaner?
Oh man, just like you said, just an absurd premise. I watched the trailer again, and I love how you can dispose of the bodies in various ways. Like one time he's like in a swampy area. He takes a body, sneaks past a cop, and throws it into an alligator pit where the gator eats it. And then I think another one is they're near train tracks, and he just walks up on this platform and throws the body on the tracks. And a train just comes through and runs it over. I mean, it's definitely not a Bender joint, I can tell you that much. But no, the art style is really cool. It's got a rad 70s look to it, and like you said, it's just a real cool premise. And I'm definitely curious to check this one out. I will definitely probably be streaming this week, possibly, right after you get done with your stream of Mr. Shifty. You might go back to back Tuesday night Indie Spotlight. Yes,
do that Tuesday night Indie Spotlight doubleheader. I think that'd be rad. Frankie, I know you got some interest in this one, man. What are your thoughts on Serial Cleaner?
Yeah, it does. This game sounds ridiculously cool. So I'm definitely gonna be picking it up, but I'm gonna watch Brent's stream just to see it in action. So looking forward to it. It'll be a great time.
Definitely. Bender, you ready to mop up some bloody murders?
Meh.
So Serial Cleaner this Tuesday. Be on the lookout for that. Moving on from there, we've got Defenders of Ekron, which is another cool looking game. This is a like a bullet hell shoot 'em up kind of a game. It looks to have some interesting bosses, some interesting level designs as well. You can it's not just a standard vertical scrolling shoot 'em up. You can kind of move around different areas of the screen as well. So I like the art style on this. I like some of the bosses in this. This is actually a really cool looking game as well. This one's been in development for a while. It was supposed to come out a few months back, making its way out finally this week. But keep your eye out for that if you're a shoot 'em up fan. MotoGP 17, the long-running motorcycle series, has a new entry this week. Iron Cryptical. This is another game that actually looks really cool. It's got it's got this crypt setting, which is what we've seen from like Crypt of the Necrodancer, Enter the Gungeon. It's that kind of a setting for a game. And Iron Cryptical actually probably shares more in common with Enter the Gungeon than anything. It looks to be a twin-stick shooter. There's you assume the role of a character who looks a lot like Sir Arthur from Ghosts and Goblins. So you take on the role of this guy, you go into this crypt, and you just, fight tons and tons of enemies, dodge bullets. There's some type of an upgrade system. I think this game looks pretty rad. It's got a cool art style. Any of you guys seen Iron Cryptical at all or heard of this game? It's the first I heard of it, but I think it looks pretty cool.
I watched the trailer for it. It looks pretty fun. I noticed it has 4-player co-op.
Really?
Oh, but it's local only.
4-player local co-op?
Yeah.
Man.
4-player local co-op, and then it does look pretty cool though. I mean, it does, like you said, it has a cool art style. You can upgrade your character's abilities and all that stuff. I mean, it has a very cool look to it. There might be some depth to it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by what I saw in the trailer for this game. So this is another one I'm interested in firing up at some point with myself and 3 of my closest friends, which I'll just pull into my basement for some local co-op action. Jeez. So Iron Cryptical is this Tuesday. Leap of Fate is a like an isometric roguelite game. That isometric action roguelite game. So check that out if you're in the mood for that. Black the Fall, the very interestingly named Black the Fall, looks to be like an Inside type of a game. I mean, when I watched the trailer for this game, that's the vibe I get, like a Play Dead type of a game. It's clearly inspired by those guys, especially Inside. It's got that whole type of vibe to it. It's a side-scrolling adventure puzzle game where you're trying to figure out how to get from point A to point B, and looks like it could be cool. Don't know a whole lot about it. Echoes of the Fae, Episode 1, The Fox's Trail, is a goofy-looking visual novel. Hunting Simulator is exactly what it sounds like, oddly enough. It's simulating a hunter. It's published by Maximum Games, so I expect it on your shelf, Frankie. on Tuesday. Day Tower Rush is a low-budget tower defense game. Derelict Fleet is a space shooter, which reminds me a little bit of like a poor man's Colony Wars. Transport Giant is a sim city building type of game. Warlocks vs. Shadows is the unfortunately name. What a stupid name for a game. Warlocks vs. Shadows is a dumb name, but this game actually looks really cool. It's got a super cool pixel art style. It's based around like these wicked boss battles. There's appears to be co-op gameplay in there as well. Some RPG elements. I think this game looks rad. It's already been on PC before, but be on the lookout for that one if you're a fan of 2D action games. Yama Yama looks like a acid trip. That one's out Tuesday. Frisky Business is a Thursday release.
Wow.
It's basically it's like an inappropriate adventure game. Looks like if Phoenix Wright met like Leisure Shoot Larry or something like that. It's kind of that type of a vibe.
My interests have been piqued. You said Leisure Suit Larry. All right.
There you go.
Sweet.
Deadcore is coming out on Friday. This is another really interesting looking game. It's a first-person shooter platform puzzler, really more so than anything. You use your gun to shoot obstacles and get through the puzzles in the game, but it's a very interesting looking title in terms of its platforming. So that's one to keep your eye on as well. On the DLC front, Injustice 2 gets Sub-Zero this week. So he'll be out Tuesday. If you have the Ultimate Edition, he'll be there waiting for you. If not, you can grab him. He's looks cool. They released a video for him. Looks like he's a badass as usual. Mm-hmm. And Little Nightmares, the Depths DLC, their first DLC pack, is available now. We missed that. Just came out a couple days ago. All right, let's move on to PSVR now. Fantastic Contraption making its way over to PlayStation VR this week. It's a game I've heard a lot about on. It was either Oculus or Vive. Don't remember which one was on. But this was a launch title for one of those platforms. A lot of people really spoke highly of it. Had a lot of good things to say about it. Fantastic Contraption on the PSVR has actually been retooled a little bit for PlayStation VR. They've added some new levels to it. They added a mode that feels more natural for you to sit down and play as well, because they figure you're in front of your big screen as you're playing this game. Mm-hmm. So the first Fantastic Contraption was designed around you kind of standing over your creation and putting it together. But this one you can actually play sitting down and it feels natural. They've got PlayStation Pro support in there as well, which is cool for a VR title. So there'll be a sharper picture on that unit. But Brent, have you seen this one at all, or heard about Fantastic Contraption? It was I feel like it was a Vive launch title.
Yeah,
but,
if it's a room scaling thing, it's probably on the Vive.
Yeah, I think it was a Vive thing. But it's kind of this thing where you craft your own device and take it through like the game world that you're in. It looks kind of interesting.
Yeah, I watched the trailer and I didn't know what the hell to make of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I seen like this. I don't know if it's a cat or a dog wearing a VR headset building something, but
yeah,
it's a strange looking title. I'll be curious to see what actually you can do with the items that you create. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's ultimately going to be the selling point. Like if it's just something where I'm just building something that I can look at, and I mean the things that they were building, I didn't know what they were building. I mean, there was no real clear definition of what they're building or how you're going to use it. But no, I mean that might be something cool for kids, but I don't have too much interest in this one.
Frankie, you know anything else about this game?
Not a whole lot. I know, like you said, it's been very well received, but I personally don't really have much interest in it. So,
yeah, cool. So I want to be out this Tuesday. The Bellows is also making its way over to PlayStation VR. It's a horror title. Don't know quite what it's about. The description of it is very vague, but it looks
much like the trailer.
Much like the trailer, yeah.
Yeah, it looks eerie. I mean, this is based around nightmares. And not being able to choose your nightmares and stuff like that. And obviously they just happened. So I'm not sure how many scenarios you're going to run into in this game. But, it's a horror game. And, I have a mild interest in it. I mean, the trailer, like I said, you don't get a whole lot from the trailer. I mean, you're just kind of walking around these obviously very strange, very disturbing places. But what all the game entails in terms of a story or a narrative is I have no idea.
Yeah. It's got a creepy vibe about it.
Oh,
for
it does.
sure,
Big time.
in the trailer. So just be a matter of if they can deliver on that. They bill it as more of an interactive movie in terms of the way it's presented. So
Mm-hmm.
sounds like it'll be a short, tight experience, which could be successful in a horror VR game. So interested to hear more about that one. On the Vita side of things, now we've got Mr. Pumpkin Adventure, which is a game that I believe was on Xbox a few weeks back, if I'm not mistaken. It's a point-and-click adventure game. And then Energy Balance, a numbers style puzzle game, will be on the platform this week on Wednesday. Let's jump into Xbox now. Something that's available right now is Arcade Archive Neo Geo Polestar. So if you've been waiting for that one, check it out. Hunting Simulators on the platform this week, alongside Minecraft Story Mode Season 2, Episode 1, Hero in Residence. Black the Fall is on Xbox One this week. Iron Cryptical is a Wednesday release. On Friday, Serial Cleaner is going to be over on there alongside Dead Core. And then on Sunday, Runbow will be available on the Xbox One. It's also, of course, part of the Games with Gold this month, so you get that for free if you're a member of that. Bender, Runbow is a cool game. Why don't you remind us one more time what this one's all about and why people should be excited about this game on Xbox?
Okay, it is a cool game. It's a very fast-paced platforming racing type game. It's a side scroller. You got a lot of colorful characters. There's even some cool indie characters that are available to play as Shovel Knight and several others from cool indie games. But you just run and jump and you try to be the first to the finish line. And there's up to 9 players. At least there was on the Wii U. And the background color will change every few seconds, and the platforms are different colors. So when the background color turns red, all the red platforms no longer exist. So you have to change up your jumps on the fly pretty often as the background color keeps changing, and it's very fast paced. There just like that speedrunners game. There's items and the things that will switch your positions and stuff like that. It's actually very similar to speedrunners. When I saw the speedrunners trailer, I thought it reminded me of Runbow quite a bit. But yeah, if you are colorblind, like I mentioned in the last episode, there are colorblind options. They have different shades you can switch between, so you can pick one that works for you. So they did think of that. But it's a really fun multiplayer game, and there's also a single player mode called the Behemoth that's very challenging, that you have to try to get through without dying, and it's super tough, but it's really fun. So. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, sounds like a good time. It does look a lot like speedrunners when you watch the video for it. So, looks like another cool running game that'll be available once again this Sunday on the Xbox One. On the DLC side of things, Injustice 2 Sub-Zero DLC will be on there on Tuesday, and the Little Nightmares The Depths DLC available now over there. Let's hop into Nintendo now, guys. What we missed last week, there's that Implosion game, Brent. Implosion, Never Lose Hope. Probably the most video game name ever. It's on the eShop now for $11.99. Bold Boy is a tremendously bizarre looking title. It's on there for $8.99 now. You take the reins of a boy with a light bulb for a head, and you use the light bulb to solve puzzles. And very, very, very strange looking title. It looks like it might be cool though. And then Arcade Archives Neo Geo Metal Slug 2, the classic, side-scrolling shooter, available now on the eShop for $7.99. This week on the Nintendo Switch, we've got Death Squared, which will be out on Thursday for $15. It's one I've heard a lot about in the on the indie scene in terms of cooperative multiplayer games. And a lot of people like this one. And then ARMS getting its first DLC, Max Brass, on Wednesday. So that character will be added to the game for free. On the Wii U, what we missed last week, Rayman Raving Rabbids is a Wii Virtual Console title on there now for $19.99. Still pumping out that Virtual Console on the Wii U. Just won't give it up.
Did you say Virtual Console and Wii U?
I did.
Is that the current system?
Sure is.
Sure ain't. Makes sense to me. This week on the Wii U, Box Up. I'm sure worth every bit of the $1.49 they're charging for it. On the 3DS, what we missed last week, nothing. We were actually good. And then this week, Cursed Castilla, which is another game that looks to star Sir Arthur from Ghosts and Goblins in a game clearly inspired by Ghosts and Goblins. That game looks kind of rad. And then As Divine Cross, the latest As Divine RPG from Kemco, will be on the 3DS on Thursday. And the final new release of the week is on none other than the Super Nintendo. How about that? So Unholy Knight, the Darkness Hunter, is a fighting game that's been created by former SNK developers. They took it upon themselves to make a new, SNES style fighting game. Watching the video on it doesn't look like a great game, but it's available on Amazon starting on Monday, July 10th. So as you're listening to this podcast, that Monday, this game will be available. So if you want to add the first new Super Nintendo game in who knows how many years to your collection, cart and all, you will have that option this week. That's it, Brent.
Fantastic. Frank, you going to order that SNES game, man? Add that to your collection? Might as well.
Is it Prime eligible? Like at my discount?
No Prime discount.
So no
Maybe
buy.
it'll sell poorly and be cheaper in like 2 weeks.
There you go. I'm on the fence with this one. It's gonna go one of two ways. Either this is just gonna be a very poor game that nobody gives a damn about, or this is gonna become like the rarest Super Nintendo cart ever, and we all just shot ourselves in the foot by not buying this when we had a chance. So I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna go.
Huh.
It's tough to call at this point.
Cool. Well, thank you, Mr. Boyce, for hammering out the new releases. Let's jump right into the news, and why not? Let's just talk about Destiny 2.
Let's do it.
I mean, seriously, it's Destiny 2. We're all hyped. The beta is seriously is it next week? The week after. Yeah, basically next week. When you're listening to this, it'll be next week.
Yeah.
So IGN is featuring Destiny 2 this month. It's their, what do they call that? Their game of the
IGN
month?
First.
IGN First. And they jumped into a bunch of stuff and revealed quite a few details, starting off with the beta details. Now, we know for sure the beta begins July 18th on the PlayStation 4. It goes live on Xbox One on July 19th. This is if you pre-order it. I think it's available to everyone on the 21st.
Yeah, this is the early access stuff until the
early
21st.
Access. Yep. And included in this beta, this is a nice beta. You get the first mission of the campaign.
Beta.
Yeah, you get the first mission of the campaign. In the Crucible, you're going to get 2 competitive modes. Countdown, which is an attack and defend a base, where you attack and defend a base on a map custom built for this mode. So this is a new mode, Countdown, and then obviously you'll have the tried and true control point. That'll be in the Crucible as well for the beta. Then we get the Strike, an inverted Spire Strike. This is where you assault a well-protected Vex stronghold with friends, whether you form up with your friends or you can do it through matchmaking. And
Awesome.
then lastly, you get to test out all 3 new subclasses. The Dawnblade for the lowly warlocks, the Arcstrider for the badass hunters, and the Sentinel for the weak titans. So all 3 subclasses will be available in the beta. Again, this begins on July 18th for PlayStation 4 owners who pre-order, and July 19th for Xbox One owners who pre-ordered, and then available to everybody on July 21st. How long is this running till? Does anyone know?
23rd.
23rd. Oh, man. 4 wonderful days. 5 wonderful days. Can't wait. We're going to be doing a lot of Destiny. Is there even going to be an indie spotlight that week, boys?
Probably not.
Awesome. Good stuff.
I'll do it. Super Hot's coming out that week. I'll do it.
Oh, there it is.
All right,
Frankie's doing the Super Hot. I like
we'll
it.
We'll do a Super Hot stream for sure. And,
Perfect.
We'll do that for sure. But, yeah, there'll be a lot of Destiny that week.
Absolutely. But, boys, let's kind of jump into all the stuff that, Bungie, Luke Smith was all over on IGN, kind of just giving out tidbits and nuggets. How about you kind of walk us through what we learned regarding Destiny 2 this week?
Yeah, one other thing I want to mention about the beta too is on the final day of the beta on Sunday, July 23rd, we're actually going to have our first chance to take a tour of the farm, which is the new social space that they unveiled this week for Destiny 2. So this is kind of the first area that you get in after the Cabal assault the city, and you're kind of exiled into the outskirts of civilization there in the European Dead Zone. And the farm looks cool, man. It's got the postmasters there. We saw Tyra Karn, who has survived to be the Cryptarch in the farm there. Don't know what happened to Master Raoul, if he's still around or if he bit the dust when the Cabal invaded. We don't know.
Nobody
Hope
knows.
so. Yeah,
That's very true. Yeah. I heard Shax's voice in the Crucible stuff too, so we know that Shax is still around. So we've seen a few characters that have survived. We don't know the whereabouts of a lot of other people, but the cool thing about the farm, from what they were saying, is it sounds like this is a dynamic space. So there's going to be people coming and going. There's going to be new things that are constantly added to it. There's also a soccer field on here now.
Awesome.
So you can actually play a fully scored match of soccer while you're waiting for people to organize stuff in the vault.
Yeah, because the nets actually register of shots going. There's scores and everything. That's hilarious.
Yeah, they keep scoring that. So just wanted to briefly mention that there. We'll talk a little bit more about the farm in a minute here. But there's a couple things I want to hone in on here. So first of all, there's a discussion video with Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy, who are two of the principal minds behind Destiny 2. And they had some interesting things to say, I thought, in this video. So I'm just going to highlight a couple of things that they said, and then I'll see what you guys have think about what they said. So from this video, here's the stuff I took from it. And like I said, this is just quotes from Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy. So how are we going to bring more people into this world? Whether you've played for thousands of hours or are brand new, there's something for you in Destiny 2. You all start in the same space. I thought this was interesting. There were two distinct paths that Bungie could have taken with Destiny, and more specifically Destiny 2. They could keep making Taken King-style expansions, or they could go the route that they decided to take, which was create a full-bore sequel and try and bring even more new players into the fold with Destiny 2. Getting together regularly to play Destiny replaces things like poker night or a golf outing, according to Luke Smith. He was mentioning how this was something like, this was like you and a group of your friends, like this is what you guys get together and do now. Like, you don't get together and play poker. You get together and do a raid. You get together and do a strike. Getting the story right has been super important for Bungie, as they've been hammering home. Telling a story with relatable characters and epic moments, and ultimately it being something that people can sink their teeth into, has been one of the prime goals of Destiny 2. There's also the story of the world itself, and giving the universe a sense of progress. So previously in Destiny, there was a niche group of people who got invested in the game's lore, or the deeper aspects of the lore, and things like the Grimoire cards. What Bungie thinks they can do with Destiny 2 is they can get even more people involved on that side of things. So, going off of the Grimoire cards in Destiny 1 and taking inspiration from that, Bungie thought, what if this kind of stuff was in the game? What if when you secured a new exotic weapon or a new exotic piece of armor, that you learned the story of the character surrounding that item inside of the game, not in some app separate from the game? I know that's exciting to us because that's something that we've been waiting for. Mm-hmm. So the other thing that Luke and Mark talked a lot about is the depth behind Destiny. So they understand that there's a lot to Destiny, and there's really a lot in there when you dig your teeth into it. Even when you get deep into the game, there's even a further level beyond that, as I've learned in recent months, and some of the stuff I've been getting myself into with different roles and tiers for your characters and that kind of stuff. But one of the things they've wanted to do with Destiny 2 is to make it more simple for people to understand. So, for instance, if you see an activity or a destination on your map, it's because you haven't done it yet. There's going to be these things that you can pull up in what they're calling your milestone tray. Things that you can pull up at any point and see what are the most important things to accomplish next if you choose to follow that route. But if you do them, this is the tier or reward that you're going to get. So they're actually going to outline in Destiny 2 the most important tasks that you can perform next and what exactly the rewards are going to be for those tasks. Mm-hmm. They've also tried to make Destiny 2 a much tougher game. So what Luke Smith, the analogy he used was like a golf bag. So he said, if you look at your weapons and items as a golf bag, we want you to look into your golf bag before you start an activity and figure out what you're going to bring. Some of the activities you do in Destiny 2 are going to be loadout locked, so you will not be able to change your loadout after you enter some of the activities in Destiny 2. He didn't specifically state which activities those would be, but some of them will be locked. So whatever you go into that task with, that's going to be your character for that mission. One of the things that made Destiny hard to enjoy in Luke Smith's mind was the lack of progress, he called it. So that's like, why am I doing this? Why does this matter? Is this going somewhere? He says that Bungie didn't do the best job of answering this question holistically with the first Destiny. You want to feel like the game you're playing has a sense of progression. He also mentioned the other side of the coin, which is investment progression. So they had multiple different versions of the investment game in Destiny, meaning how do they reward players for playing. So we've seen this with all the different iterations of Destiny. Things started to turn for the better after the release of the Taken King, and Destiny 2 is going to be Bungie's kind of next step forward on this idea of investment progression. So Mark was talking about, how do we make this a new platform for years of ongoing content, and how do we make this easy for people to jump into? We want to be the game where you encounter other people. We want to be the game where you turn the corner and encounter something amazing happening, and there are other people to play with. Think of those people as potential friends, and we think of our world as a place where you meet people who can become your potential friends, which is oddly enough how Short Pause started. Pretty much.
Pretty much.
It was me and you, Brent, and then we found Frankie and Bender pretty much in Destiny. So, which is cool. I always love that story about the website. So Destiny is a game where you explore the ruins of a lost civilization, shooting monsters with your friends. So this is kind of Bungie's like overall vision for Destiny 2. You create a character and you move them throughout all of these different activities, whether that's single player, cooperative multiplayer, competitive multiplayer, and it's that same character that grows over the course of several years, and you're doing that in front of other people. Luke had a great quote when he said, "I'm consumed by the opportunity to surprise and delight. There are a lot of things here," meaning here in Destiny 2, "that I don't want us to talk about at all, because I think it represents potential surprises and things we want you, the player, to experience on your own without us telling you, hey, this is going to be good." To wrap all that up, this is how Bungie kind of sees things. We're still in our own space. In 2017, Destiny is still in a pretty unique position, and with Destiny 2, we're trying to take it even farther. When we think about where we want to take Destiny as a franchise, a lot of it is going to be about how is this going to allow players to play and form memories we hope they'll carry with them forever. Now, we've talked about this many times over the last 3 years, but a lot of the memories I have from Destiny 1 are memories I'll have for a very long time, and there's some of my best gaming memories, especially in recent times. So, Brent, there's a lot to digest there, but from that, what do you take from that? Like, what stood out from what Luke and Mark are talking about here in terms of their vision for Destiny 2?
The first thing I like that they talked about the two distinct paths that they could have chosen. One of them was to keep making Taken King style expansions or create a full bore sequel. And I think by going with a full bore sequel, it allows them to really focus on the story, which is what they're trying to do. Build a stronger story from the ground up, because with the first Destiny, obviously the story was weak, and they kind of relied on the expansions to kind of fill in the gaps and tell a story that should have been in the proper version of the game. Whereas now, if they're focusing on a full bore sequel, they're really focusing on the story, building up things for cutscenes instead of just Grimoire cards. The base game is going to be a much deeper story, so when they get to the expansions, they don't have to spend so much time trying to explain things that should have been explained in the proper version of the game. Now they can actually build on things. They can build on the story with more to it, and then you'll understand why you've gotten to that point. So that's why I like that they chose that path. A couple of other things. I love how they referenced it, compared it to golf night with your buddies or playing cards with your friends. I mean, that's basically what Destiny is for me. I get home, I get online with my buddies, and we go through strike missions or whatever's on the menu for the night. So I definitely like that. And then the other thing I like about that they talked about was how they're going to have modes where your loadout is locked, because I think that will create a deeper strategy, a necessary strategy. You're going to have to really talk about, hey, what are you bringing? What are you bringing? Okay, we're going to run into this boss at this point. What are you going to bring? I think that kind of you lose that when you have the ability to just hop into your repertoire of weapons and choose whatever you want to choose. This way, you really have to think about it, and I really like that part of it because it adds a layer of strategy going into whatever you're going into.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's interesting too how they talked about choosing that strategy for Destiny 2 and making this brand new game, because it allows them to not only this kind of vision they have of bringing in new players and kind of getting more people engrossed in this world, but like you said, being able to really tackle the narrative and create the narrative that a world like this deserves, I think is awesome, and I think they're definitely making the right move by kind of starting over again with Destiny 2. Frankie, out of all this stuff here, what stood out to you about what Luke and Mark were talking about?
Like with Brent, just like the being able to go into missions with a locked loadout. Like, I'm actually kind of excited about that because, I mean, in a lot of ways, like it's kind of just become like a fallback for us. Like, we'll go in there and like we've all got, icebreakers, fatebringers, Gallarhorns, whatever. Like, everybody has that. But going in there, it's like, okay, well, Bender has this gun, I have this gun, Brent has this other gun, and like being able to kind of focus more on like your own individual role in the group rather than just being one of 6 people firing Gallarhorn rockets at Crota. I feel like it kind of gives you like more of your own personalized role as you're playing through the missions. I think that's going to be pretty cool, hopefully, assuming it plays out that way.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the farm. We're talking about how, like, that's going to be like a live thing later on, so I kind of want to see like how much that's going to evolve. And then I don't know, I cannot wait to play this game, man. But like you guys, like you mentioned, like short parts kind of coming together through Destiny. Destiny is the first game that I've ever really gotten into on a social level.
Oh,
Like I've stuck to like Battlefield, Bad Company 2. I think that was like the first game I started dabbling with some coworkers. I had friends over for Left 4 Dead where we would system link and just do like, we'd order pizzas and play Left 4 Dead for hours on end. But Destiny's the first game that I've ever like not only spent 400, 500 hours playing, but, kind of going beyond my comfort zone and, like playing with you guys, playing with, Moody, other people that I don't know, So like Destiny for me like has been like that really awesome experience, and I'm really looking forward to having more of that with Destiny 2.
You and me both, buddy. Bender. So one of the things I liked that Luke talked about was this opportunity to surprise and delight, and I get this feeling that there's a lot of stuff that Bungie's not telling us about this game, and we're going to be discovering this stuff as we jump into it. So I'm really excited about what we don't know about this game, which is a lot, admittedly, and seeing all the surprises that Bungie has in store for us. But what stood out to you from what they were saying here, man?
This all sounds pretty cool. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of variety in the way you want to progress. A lot of different things to do. I like that there are going to be things that you see on your map and like, oh, well, I haven't done that yet. Oh, well, let me go and get that taken care of. And of course, like the guys were talking about, the locked loadout thing is very interesting to think about. It's definitely going to add some additional strategy to certain activities. I envision us doing like a nightfall and kind of planning it out. You got to look. I figure you got to look at the modifiers for the week and kind of plan out your weapons and be like, okay, well, one of us is going to have a sword or a shotgun for the enemies that come in close, and one of us is going to have a sniper rifle to shoot far away, and maybe one of us bring a rocket launcher to hit the boss hard when we get there. And it's just going to be really interesting to have to kind of plan out your strategy in advance.
And
Bender,
not to cut you off, not even just in terms of the weapons, but the subclasses. I mean, you're going to look at what the special abilities are of the subclass. I mean, some go invisible. Some all have these different abilities. I mean, there's going to be a lot of consideration when choosing your loadout, choosing your class, assuming that you can't swap your classes out. Now, is it safe to assume that it's the weapons, or is it going to be the classes as well that you can't swap?
I don't know. I didn't think about that. When I think of loadout, I think of weapons.
Okay, so we'll just
maybe
assume it's
that's just me.
right now.
I actually thought of the class too. I think they would lock that on you.
If they lock that, there's going to be a lot of discussion before you jump into a Nightfall.
The other thing with that too is the subclasses have these new kind of I forgot what they call them, but these abilities that span all of the subclasses for that particular type of character. So like the warlocks have that healing thing that they can put down now on the map. The Titans have that shield that they can put up that blocks the characters. So you think about that kind of stuff as well. And with the new weapon system, Bender, which is where you were going with this, and that's right where my mind went too, is with the new weapon system and the power weapon system, like your fusion rifles, your sniper rifles, your grenade launchers, your rocket launchers, they're all in the same class of weapon now. So having a locked loadout forces you to coordinate that with everybody. Like, you can't go into a mission and nobody has a sniper rifle. Like, somebody's got to have one of those for the mission. So so that's really interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm really looking forward to that, and just kind of figuring out all the strategy and everything involved with that. And yeah, I'm really excited to get into Destiny 2. I can't wait.
What do you guys think about this idea of making Destiny more like understandable? Are you on board for that? Obviously, Destiny 1 it seems incomprehensible at first, but once you get into the game and you learn it, we're well versed in the game now. But do you like the idea of making things kind of simpler for not only for the people that are invested in Destiny, but for all the new players that are coming in as well?
Even though you say we're well versed in it, there are still multiple parts of Destiny that sometimes I'll play like, I don't know what the hell this is referring to. So I do like the fact that they're going to try to focus on making it more understandable, clearing things up, just making it so it's easier to understand what's going on, who these characters are, where they're coming from. I think that just adds to the fleshed out narrative to make you really care about these characters, care about this world and stuff like that. So I think that's really important this time around.
Yeah, definitely. So so some exciting stuff. I'm totally on board with their vision for Destiny 2. This sounds like all the kind of stuff that I was hoping to see in the sequel. So excited to see where they go with that. Now, IGN actually had some hands-on time with the game as well, and they mentioned some very interesting things here that I wanted to pull out and make mention of. So first of all, in terms of Destiny 2's story, which has obviously been mentioned in the trailers, what wasn't mentioned was how you'll discover pieces of lore peppered throughout the worlds. So this is a quote from the IGN article. For example, while exploring Nemesis, we were given a side quest from Failsafe to locate recordings left by early explorers. These describe their struggle after a crash landing and give us a peek at the early struggles humanity endured in Destiny as they ventured out into the unknown. It was a fantastic example of how Bungie is blending the narrative into the world instead of through grimoire cards to be deciphered from your mobile app or the website. Now, Franklin, this is something that we've all talked about before, is getting this kind of stuff into the game. I mean, hearing something like this has to get you excited for the possibilities of what they could do with this stuff in Destiny 2, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's kind of been one of my biggest gripes about Destiny is there's certain grimoire cards that I didn't know a lot about, but like I have friends on Twitter who got really into that stuff, and like I guess the Red Legion's actually referenced a lot in the grimoire from the first game. I would have no idea, so I think it'd be great having something that's actually going through and not only like kind of like reading about it, but also kind of experiencing like what exactly happened. Like you actually are going to like ruins and stuff in theory, so you're gonna actually see firsthand like what happened, like the area, like these grimoire facts, like all these different things that happened, and I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah. Bender, I love the world of Destiny. I love the lore of Destiny. I haven't gone through and read all the grimoire cards. I'm not one of those people yet. Maybe in the future I'll go back and read some of them. But I'm really excited by the idea of them folding this kind of stuff more organically into the world and us. I mean, we're going on this kind of galaxy-spanning adventure in Destiny 2, right? We're going to be all over the universe. We're going to be meeting all kinds of new people, kind of assembling our forces once again to take back the city from the Cabal. So the idea of this lore being built into the game is I think incredibly exciting. What do you think, man?
Yeah, definitely. That's what we've really wanted all along. Is to have, because Destiny has always had a deep lore, but it's just been buried in the grimoire. So it's going to be awesome to be able to see some of that incorporated more into the game, and kind of come across things that we're gonna be able to learn more about the characters and the world and the story and everything. So I'm excited about that. I mean, they kind of did that, started moving toward that way a little bit, starting with the was it the Taken King, when you had like the things you could scan with your ghost, and he would talk give you a little bit more information. I thought that was awesome. So hopefully
Mm-hmm.
they dive more into that and give you more stuff like that you can just get little bits of extra information for the people who want it. I mean, the people who don't care can just move on, shoot stuff, and have a good time. But the people like us who want to learn more about the game and the story and the lore can spend that extra time to delve into that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And really, when it comes down to it, the Taken King is kind of the catalyst for all of this stuff, right? For everything that Destiny was moving forward, and for a lot of stuff that they're basing Destiny 2 on, like the Taken King, even in like the way the Dreadnought was designed, like a lot of that kind of that mystery and the all the cool secrets that are in that ship. That's kind of some of the stuff that we've heard that they're going to be, putting into their design for Destiny 2. So that was a very important milestone when the Taken King released for Destiny. So Brent, we've got what seems to be an awesome narrative. We've got Grimoire built into the world and all this lore building. Like, what more could we ask for, right? Like, this is what we want out of Destiny 2.
This is all I wanted out of Destiny 1 was a story, a fleshed out story, and to be able to get those Grimoire stories, like Frankie said, there's probably a ton of stuff. Like we just mentioned, make the story more understandable. That's why there's so many things I don't understand, like small things that get mentioned that are probably mentioning Grimoire cards somewhere. But the fact that we're going to get these through recordings or maybe items that we pick up that we can read in game as opposed to having to do it outside the game, dude, that just adds to it immensely.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get in there and see how they build the world in Destiny 2. Now, a couple more really interesting things here that I want to bring up for you guys from this article. So, on the topic of flashpoints, this is the first I've heard of this, but according to IGN, quote, there are also flashpoints now, promising Nightfall tier rewards. These are the new reason to get players running to a planet, excited to shoot monsters in the face. Each week, a new destination will be selected as your main point of interest, and you'll be rewarded for completing tasks like public events, in our case. If you prefer PvP over PvE, over the PvE experience, there will also be a new Call to Arms event, though we were not told specifically about the rewards for its completion. Then there's something called milestones, which we mentioned briefly a minute ago. These are all part of the new milestone system. This is another quote from the article, pushing you in the right direction. Milestones are how you track your main goals in Destiny. From your map, you can hit your left trigger or R2 to see all of the available missions up for grabs in a clear outline of what you can expect for their completion. It's all about making the path to progression clearer because, after all, the gear game is what Destiny is really about. On the topic of light level, IGN had this to say, quote, on that note, we don't know many specifics, but there will be a light game in some form for Destiny 2. It should be noted that when we played, Bungie made it clear that they were still finalizing the exact details about how the climb works this time around. We do know that engrams drop, allowing you to collect new gear and grow your Guardian, but beyond that, they were vague, they being Bungie. And then finally, on the topic of the farm, quote, with engrams returning, you'll still need someone to decrypt them, and that will be done in the new social space, the farm. Tyra Karn survived the Cabal assault, as well as a few other staples from the tower like the Postmaster, a new vault, and the soccer ball and fully featured and fully scored soccer field. One big difference is how the social space feels more alive. It will not remain stagnant. As you advance the story, new characters will enter, such as the elusive Hawthorne, who we've heard whispers about, among others, and there will be mini-events, allowing you to get special effects to stand out from the rest. The space can also hold 26 players at once, 10 more than the original social spaces, meaning it's going to be a very happening spot, end quote. So, Brent, all this stuff, man, flashpoints, milestones, light level, the farm, what's standing out to you from what you've heard here?
Oh, man, I like the idea of the flashpoints. I love the milestones because sometimes there's missions that I don't know that I have to do or that I don't know if I really should be doing them. Mm-hmm. But I think that's awesome that they have those in there now. So I'll be able to know exactly what I'm going to get from it, what tier level or what level tier of gear I'm going to get or weapon I'm going to get. Mm-hmm. That kind of stuff kind of keeps you going, will keep you going and playing through these missions that you might have missed. So I think that's awesome. The farm just sounds sweet. Like, I really want to spend some time in the farm. Now, here's the only thing I want to know, and I hope you can do it. I hope I can take that soccer ball and kick it off a cliff and ruin it for everybody. If I can't kick the soccer ball off a cliff, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Yeah. I I don't know. We'll have to
think
see.
you're going to be in a cliff this time.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know that there's any cliffs nearby. Maybe a river or something.
A
you could
river,
take it into.
yes, that'd be awesome.
So
Perfect.
I think that's a distinct possibility. I could see you just just dive bombing into somebody's game and just kicking their ball into a river.
And then doing my dance.
Yeah, you
Just
do some emote. Maybe they add the middle finger emote to Destiny 2, and then you just run off.
Just pointing laughing.
Brent Felsing is the Biff Tannen of Destiny. Oh, you want this ball? Go get it.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah. Franklin, what do you think about flashpoints and milestones and light level and the farm? All this stuff sound good to you? What's standing out to you, man?
Yeah, honestly, flashpoints. We kind of like patrols and all that stuff. Kind of just fell back as things we have to do if we get an exotic weapon bounty or something that sends us back there. Mm-hmm. But having an actual reason to go back there and do them every week with the promise of some pretty sweet rewards, hell yeah, sign me up.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Especially like the call to arms. Like I actually really do enjoy the Crucible sometimes, most of the time. Mm-hmm. I just love getting in there. Iron Banner kind of sucks sometimes because I have fallen far behind, so I just get destroyed with people with freaking hard light. But yeah, I mean, I dig the Crucible, so having another kind of, I guess I didn't ever unlock the missions for it or anything because I kind of fell off Destiny. Around Taken King and Rise of Iron, so I didn't play as much as they had before. But I know there was something in there with like the mount, like climbing the mountain or whatever for the Iron Banner, or not Iron Banner, the Crucible with Shax. So bringing something like that back would be cool if I get back in Destiny 2, as much as I'm kind of hoping not to, even though I know I will. Having rewards for going in there and playing a lot of that'll be really cool. But yeah, like I said before, I'm really interested to see how like the farm actually is. Like it sounds like it's going to be very like evolving throughout time. I wonder if do we know if this siege happened when Zer was in town?
We don't. I seem to remember somebody zeroing in on him when that first trailer came out in Cade's area when Cade was giving his speech. I thought somebody picked out Zer in the crowd, but I don't know for sure.
But he like the whole agent of like his clan, I assume that he's with. I would really like them to explore that a little bit.
Yes.
Like I think this gives us a lot of opportunities. Like now that the tower's fallen and everything, everyone's kind of coming together to go after Gaul, and like I think there's a lot of opportunities to like visit like more background of like Zer and maybe some people from the tower who are missing. Like I guess if people really care about what happened to Raul, you can go find them. I don't know, but I think that there's a lot of cool stories to tell about those characters that I think they could actually explore. That'd be really great. So, but so excited, man! All this stuff sounds great. This is gonna be fun. Yeah,
absolutely, man. Bender, I like the way this milestone stuff sounds like Brent was talking about. So, and this could be very dangerous to have a list in order of importance just on the side of your screen at any given time of the stuff that you can do and the rewards you could get. Boy, that's going to take one more thing to a whole nother level. When you're going down your milestone list, you're like, all right, let's just do one more thing. Oh man, but I can get this piece of armor if we do this. Let's go do this now. So what do you think about flashpoints and milestones and what we've heard about the light in the farm? What's standing out to you, man?
It all sounds really cool. Like I was saying earlier, it seems like there's going to be a lot of variety in the activities you can do and things that'll keep you busy. But yeah, that milestones thing is probably going to lead to a lot of late nights and, and regretful mornings when you have to get up for work the next day. And but yeah, it sounds awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing what those are all what is involved in all those things. The flashpoints sound cool. Mm-hmm. Like Frankie was saying, it'll give us a reason to go back to previously visited areas and and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited about all that stuff.
Yeah, dude, juicing up a patrol area with like nightfall rewards and like badass public events and that kind of stuff sounds awesome. Man, so the wait until July 18th is gonna be painful as we count down the days till we can get our first taste of this. But my gosh, after that, the wait until September 6th is going to be unbearable as we try and as they give us a taste of this game and then pull it back away from us. Yeah, so obviously we're very excited about Destiny 2. Couldn't really be any more excited about it. One more thing we want to note here: Eric Hirschberg, back in the news this week, had some interesting comments about Destiny. So he was talking to GI Biz, and he had this to say: "Quote: We got a lot right with Destiny 1, but one of the things we didn't do was keep up with the demand for new content. I feel like that, as great as DLC packs, The Dark Below, House of Wolves, The Taken King, and Rise of Iron all are, clearly there was an appetite for more. We have got additional AAA developers from inside the Activision ecosystem working with Bungie on Destiny content, including Vicarious Visions and High Moon.
Mm-hmm.
That will allow us to keep an even more robust pipeline of content in the ecosystem." Brent, when you hear that, man, when you hear them with all the other stuff we've heard about Destiny 2, and you hear Hirschberg come out and say, "Look, we understand that people are ravenous for this stuff and they want even more content in Destiny," and he's telling us that's what they're going to give us. What are you thinking, man?
I'm thinking, why bother pre-order anything else after September 6th? I mean, really. I mean, if they're bringing on 2 more studios, talented ones at that, and High Moon and Vicarious Visions, that's more content. And like we talked about earlier, I mean, if the focus is on the story right now in the base version of the game, and you've got all these different studios working on expansions. I mean, seriously, when we joke about making this site a Destiny-focused website, it's a legitimate reason why we would consider doing that. I mean, there is going to be so much more content this time around, hopefully, based on what he's saying here with all these studios working on additional expansion. I don't even want to think about it, dude. Like, I really don't know why I would even bother pre-ordering anything else after this game comes out.
Man, Frankie, we just doing the math over the weeks and months here, hearing about this. It's not crazy to say that there could be upwards of 700-800 people like working on this game at any given time with Destiny 2, with the amount of people that work at Bungie and the amount of people that work at High Moon and Vicarious all working on this game. When you hear stuff like this, man, when you hear the phrase "more robust pipeline of content in the ecosystem," what do you feel, man?
Scared.
It really is. It is overwhelming to think about.
It is. I mean, I wasn't one who was, necessarily upset that there was only so much content to play, because I feel like we got months and months and months out of, Dark Below, especially House of Wolves. Oh my God, dude, I loved Prison of Elders. That was the greatest thing they could have added to that game. But like, what more could you do? I mean, I know people were upset because they all got got lucky and got all the good weapons right away, had all this stuff done. But I mean, like, looking at it from our perspective, like, what more could you do for like us? We're playing, a couple hours a night. We're not necessarily all the luckiest guys in the world. What more could they possibly do to this game? With 2 more studios who make awesome content on top of that, what are we in for? I'm scared.
Bender, are you scared? Do you fear the more robust pipeline of content?
A little bit, yeah. It's, I mean, in a game that I've spent, over a month of my life playing cumulatively. Yeah, it's definitely gonna draw me in. If they keep pumping out more content, I'm just gonna want to keep playing. So my life may be over.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the app here, creeping up towards 400 hours now myself. So
those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those up.
And I know, man. You guys still got. I've been playing this game a lot recently, and you guys are still like way lapped me. So that gives you an idea of how much we've played this game.
You can take solace in knowing that you're the only one of us who's hit 400.
I will take solace in that. So Brent, you take your icebreaker, you shove it, you know where. I'm
either that or my four horsemen. One of those two. I was just waiting for Frankie. I got to look. That's all I wanted was a look for Frankie.
Yeah, so I know people are probably tired of hearing us talk about Destiny at this point, but look, it's only going to get worse from here as we get towards the release of this game. And I absolutely love everything we've been hearing about Destiny 2, man. I'm really excited to get into the beta. Super excited to get my hands on the final game and just play the hell out of this thing for the last 3 or 4 months of this year. Brent, it's gonna do it for the Destiny news, man.
Whew. Less than 2 months away, you guys. I know the beta is next week, but we are less than 2 months away from Destiny 2 consuming us all.
Scary.
Man. Sorry, Melissa. Sorry, kids. Dad'll be downstairs for the holidays.
For the foreseeable future.
Yeah. We'll be down there for a long time. All right. Well, hey, we're going to take a quick break. We got some music here from Ruel Ethan, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks again to Ruel Ethan for providing the music for this podcast. He produces the opening, the closing, the intermission that you just listened to. Very talented young man. Follow him on Twitter at Ruel Ethan. Check out his music on iTunes and SoundCloud. Thank you very much, sir. All right, guys, let's keep the news train going. First up, Middle-earth. Shadow of Mordor gets a new update that will allow you to transfer your Nemesis to Shadow of War. This update came out this week. The free update will read your save file and identify your arch nemesis along with your most loyal orc follower and bring both of them into Shadow of War when it's released later this year. Boys, do you remember off the top of your head who your arch nemesis was or your most loyal orc follower?
I feel like the guy that I remember writing about him in the review was Tugog. But that guy drove me nuts, man. He was like, he just beat the hell out of me so many times. So maybe Tugog would be my main nemesis. Not sure though. I don't remember the names of the guys, or it's been 3 years now, so I don't remember who was what in that game. I don't remember who was my orc follower. I have no idea on that one. But I think it's awesome though that you can do this. I know people were asking for something like this, like carrying nemesis across the game, or nemesis. What the hell's the plural of nemesis? Nemesis. So, yeah, but this is a great feature, and I'm looking forward to bringing my character over and seeing who's my main rival.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet that they put that update out there like that. Frankie, did you did this game? You played this on Xbox One, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember your nemesis by any chance?
I don't remember his name. I do remember a certain enemy that I kept running into who just kept kicking my ass. Can't for the life of me remember his name though, but I know he was like a skinnier guy, one of those more agile ones. So, as far as like a loyal follower, I don't know either. I think I killed them all. So.
Frankie just goes solo.
I think there was
just
like
at
an
the-
achievement for wiping out all the war chiefs at once or something. So I went around and I possessed them all, and then I just, you can kill everyone at once. So I did that.
There was the one guy you work with through a significant portion of the game, Rat Bag. So maybe
Rat bag.
maybe he'll be the guy.
I think he's dead. Doesn't he die?
Probably, but they keep coming back.
That's a good point. Yeah, I'd bring Rat Bag back if I could.
Yeah, you can do some witch, shaman magic or something.
Yeah, he's loyal.
I mean, hell,
Kinda.
Talion came back to life, right? That's the whole point of the game.
That's a good point. It's a good point. Bring back Rat Bag. I'll do
Yeah.
it.
Fun fact: Rat Bag was the runner-up name to Anderson for my son. Didn't quite make it.
Rat Bag Felsing.
Yep.
It's all right. There's nicknames.
Shockingly, didn't get the votes from the mom's side of the equation.
What
So,
about the middle name?
you know what? I probably could have snuck that on the birth certificate, and she wouldn't have known until I started calling him that all the time. She'd be like, "What are you doing?" I'd be like, "See, it's right here." Anderson Rat Bag Felsing. That would have been a good one. Man, that just rolls off the tongue. Man,
It does, man.
dropped.
I like it.
I think that would have worked out well. Boys, let's jump into the world of PlayStation. What's going on?
All right. So Brent, in the world of PlayStation, we're gonna start with my favorite Bandicoot, and that's Crash. Crash Bandicoot, Insane Trilogy had an insane debut, sales wise, at least in the UK. Get this, man. The Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy had the largest single biggest launch for a piece of software for the year, finishing even ahead of Horizon Zero Dawn in this category.
Wow.
The Insane Trilogy owns the second biggest launch overall this year in the UK, placing behind Ghost Recon Wildlands, which we know is selling out of this world, all over the world. Here's the other interesting thing about this. None of the original Crash Bandicoot games ever opened at number 1 in the UK. And Crash Bandicoot is now the 24th biggest franchise in the UK when it comes to box software sales after last week's performance.
Wow.
So, some impressive numbers from the UK side of things. It also was the top seller on the UK PSN store, and it was only on sale for 1 day. So in that 1 day, it was the top-selling piece of downloaded software on their platform for the entire month of June. On the U.S. PlayStation Store for June, it finished in second, and that was once again being only on sale for 1 day. Actually, finished behind Friday the 13th of all games, in its second month, topping the charts. I don't remember that game being on sale or anything either. So Friday the 13th is finding an audience.
I was gonna say, as much as awesome as that is for Crash Bandicoot, that just speaks volumes about Friday the 13th and how well that game's doing.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Yeah, and we've seen too that Crash Bandicoot was sold out on Amazon as well, like here in the U.S. So there was a time for a couple of weeks there where you couldn't even order the game on Amazon. So I think it's safe to say that at least initially, this game has been a huge boon for Activision, and clearly there's an audience that's been waiting for Crash Bandicoot to return, and he has returned. And like we talked about on the last show, this is really a fantastic package that Vicarious Visions has put together, and people are responding to this, and I'm really excited about that because I love Crash. Brent, what do you think about this, man? If I would have told you at the beginning of this year that Crash Bandicoot was going to outsell Horizon Zero Dawn on its launch, you would have probably slapped me in the face and told me I was an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
But this has happened in the UK. What do you think when you hear about what's happening with Crash here, man?
I want you to slap me and call me an idiot for not buying the damn thing. I feel like I'm the only guy that doesn't have this game right now. I know there was a lot of excitement building up to this game's launch. I would have never, even with what just the kind of a pulse on the gaming community, I would have never guessed this game would have scored this high on the sales charts, especially considering it's just 1 day, basically, of being on the charts. And it's number 1 in the UK. It finished number 2 on the US PSN download list. obviously Activision's onto something here. Eric Hirschberg said they're seeing a real passion for Crash, and this could lead to other things now. Which if Activision is Activision and they're looking at this, the ball's rolling already. This thing's already in motion. This is going to lead to other things. What those are remains to be seen.
Frankie, what do you think about this, man? What do you think about this like surge behind Crash here after just being on the market for a couple days?
It's awesome. First of all, I hope it kind of gives them a reason to revisit Spyro, but I digress. I have it. I downloaded it. I contributed to that list, to getting it number
Nice.
2. So
Nice.
that's cool. But
Good
no,
job.
I mean, I think it's cool when games like this come back, because I think a lot of people are playing it now, and it's funny because a lot of the people I see playing it on Twitter keep comparing it to Dark Souls, and I'm just sitting here thinking like, games were a lot harder back then. You do know that, right? So
Right.
it's just funny to me seeing a lot of people getting into it now and realizing like, holy crap, like this game is actually really hard. And I think just the way that gaming has been for like the past generation and a half, you're more focused on, all these story-driven games, challenges kind of taking a back seat, which is why, in my opinion, things like Dark Souls are as popular as they are, because people are out there who still enjoy a challenge. And the original Crash game has presented that. And now that, apparently, they're a fun time. They're a great story. So I think that's all great. I just worry what Activision has in store for the series going forward, because I still, as awesome as it is having the trilogy back out there, remastered and with some great attention given to that, I still don't think a new Crash game in 2017 is going to do well in the grand scheme of things. I think like for $40 getting 3 awesome PlayStation 1 games remastered is an awesome value. I don't know like how like an actual brand new Crash Bandicoot in 2017 or beyond would actually be received.
Well, if you slap a gun in his hand and put it in a first-person perspective, I bet you that baby would sell.
You're probably right. Bender, what do you think about that? What do you think about what Frankie's saying? And what do you think about Crash's success, man? You've been playing the game.
I think it's great. It's pretty cool that Crash is getting a comeback. Hopefully, it leads to some other cool stuff. Maybe other remasters. I would like it to see a new Crash game. I think that'd be pretty sweet. I don't know how well it would do, to Frankie's point, but I would play it. Maybe they'll redo Crash Team Racing or something.
Yeah,
Which
there you go.
I hear a lot of people wanting that. I never actually played that game, so I'd be interested in checking that out if they did that. But yeah, it's a pretty cool thing, and it is an awesome game and an awesome value to have those 3 games for $40, and I've been really enjoying them so far. So yeah, good on them.
Did you get to Crash 2 yet?
Not quite. No, not yet.
Not quite.
No,
Yeah.
I'm working.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait to get to 2, man. 2 is so good. It's a awesome game. I love that. It's one of my favorite PS1 games. So Frankie, you mentioned Spyro there, man. Like, do you think like watching the success of this, Activision, they have Spyro in their stable as well. Is this something that's gonna happen, man?
I certainly hope so. I think obviously there's an appetite for these older games, and I feel like there's just as equally a passionate Spyro fan base as a Crash fan base. So I think we should find a way to make that happen.
Yeah, a lot of talk right now about what PS1 franchises we could see remastered now after the success of Crash. Crash is a little unique in this situation though. There's not many PlayStation 1 franchises that are as beloved as him, so I don't know that they could just go willy-nilly and just grab any of them, but there's a lot of talk about Spyro, and I think it'd be cool to see that. Personally, after watching what Vicarious Visions did with Crash Bandicoot, if Activision commissioned a new Crash game and they treated it with the respect that Vicarious treated this new trilogy with, or the old trilogy with, in terms of the remaster, I'd be all about seeing a new game. Whether or not it would do well, I'm not sure, but I'd be aboard to see what they would do with a brand new game after the care that they put into this package. So it really is a stellar remaster. So shouts out to Crash, man. Now let's move on to the Pack Attack. Michael Pachter himself. So Pack was on Gaming Bolt this week, and he was talking about PS5.
Whoa.
Yeah, he's got some interesting quotes here. So Read what Pactor had to say here. So this is on the subject of the PlayStation 5. Quote, I really like Sean Layden, and I don't think he is attempting to mislead anybody. He's referring to some interview Sean gave a few weeks back, and they mentioned something about the PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 4 Pro is better from a technical perspective than the PS4. So I think that's a half step towards the PlayStation 5. I think the PS5 will be another half step. So he is being honest when he said he is not doing a half step. But the PlayStation 5, how much faster can it be? It will surely support 4K. Will it support 240 frames per second? Great. Will it play games that were made for the PlayStation 4 Pro? That's the question. I think it will. So I think they will build a console that will be backwards compatible with the PlayStation 4 Pro. So I think it will be perceived by the consumers to be a half step, and I think Sean is telling the truth when he says it will be a full-fledged console. He also had this to say. My expectation is that it is not coming out in 2018, that it is a 2019 or 2020, but probably 2019. Sony is probably timing it better because they are going to bring out a 4K capable device when the 4K TV market reaches 50% in the US and 35% in the rest of the world. I think Sony has probably got the next console cycle nailed down already. I think they already know what they got to do. End quote. So Felsing, you hear Pac talking about the PlayStation 5 here. He expects it in 2019, and he's expecting it around there when he anticipates that the 4K market will be at 50% in the U.S., which is quite a bit. Does this all make sense to you? Are you thinking along a similar lines, like that's about the time when we could see the PS5?
I mean, with that reasoning, I mean, I can understand. I mean, if the 4K, the adoption of 4K is running at 50%, in 2019, I can see where it would be easier for Sony to be like, okay, I think we're ready to bring out a full-fledged 4K unit. I mean, I get where he's coming up with that, but I mean, I don't know. 2019 seems a bit close, but I'm never really good at predicting dates of when consoles are going to come out, man.
Mm-hmm. One of the things people complained about with the last generation was that it went on too long, and that one went on 7 years. So by the time we hit 2019, we will be 6 years into the PlayStation 4 life cycle. So I feel like it's probably a good assumption to assume that we could see a PlayStation 5 by 2019, especially when they're putting out the quote unquote mid-cycle refresh. They're putting it out 3 years into the cycle. Mm-hmm. So by that logic, 3 years later, we would be ready for the next console, which would be the full-fledged PlayStation 5. What do you think, Bender?
It's possible. Yeah. I was just thinking, though, this is the same Michael Pachter that said that there wouldn't be a PlayStation 5 console generation after saying that there wouldn't be a PlayStation 4 console generation. So I don't really put much stock into anything he says.
Yeah. Not so much what he's saying. It's kind of the whole concept behind it. I don't put any stock in what Pachter says. He just says stuff, and sometimes it's true and sometimes it's not. But the whole concept of the PlayStation 5 in 2019, maybe even based around the idea of 4K market penetration. Does all this makes sense to you? Is that when is that when you think we could see a PlayStation 5?
It's very possible. I don't know. The PS4 still seems to be going strong, still seems to be selling well, so they might kind of wait until later when the momentum dies down a little bit. But on the other hand, I could see them putting out something to take advantage of the 4K popularity and do something that's going to be top of the line. I don't know. It's kind of tough to say.
What do you think, Frankie? Do you think how the PlayStation 4 is selling is going to be a factor in this at all? Like, if it's still selling like gangbusters, would they hold back the PS5, or would they kind of want to keep the momentum going, keep their kind of pedal to the metal, and just keep rolling with the PlayStation brand here? What do you think? What do you think about that 2019 year?
I still think 2019 is too soon, and I say that I understand. Yes, the last generation was 6, 7, 8 years, but. Like, looking at where we're at now, like, we still have a ton of games in the pipeline. Anthem's gonna be coming out. Game. I'll get back to that in a second, but Death Stranding is still due. Like, we have a whole bunch of games that are still probably not coming until late 2018, early 2019 that we know about. So, and on top of that, you have to assume that some of these developers that we haven't heard anything from yet, like Sucker Punch, for example, like they have stuff that's probably coming out again late 2018, early 2019. And if you're talking a PlayStation 5 at that point, it's like, well, why wouldn't you just hold your game back, and release it for the new console? So I feel like just putting it in 2019 is just too close, because I think we're just now kind of getting into the stride of this gen where we're starting to see a lot more, quality, awesome games from everybody. So I don't know, 2019 way too early. I think 2021-ish would probably be better, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But
2021.
2021, that's what I think.
An 8-year cycle for the PS4.
See, the other thing that I look at is like before, like you had the PS3 and 360. That was the console you had for that time frame. That was the power that you were working with for that entire duration. You look at the Pro and the Xbox One X. Like these systems are meant to extend the life of that system, right? Like that's the whole point of putting these out, to kind of keep with the times. People are starting to adopt 4K. You now have consoles that are capable at some kind of base level of doing 4K content. You kind of have like an inch in there as people are adopting. You have these systems that are doing 4K gaming now. But I think like once it's more widely adopted, like once and maybe it already has like HDR, is kind of more defined on what exactly it is. Like I think that's when you start talking, the next Xbox and the PS5, and I still think we're still a little ways from that. But that's the only thing I can think of, like why I personally wouldn't mind. Like I want to see developers actually utilize the One X and the Pro. Like I want to see games that are actually utilizing these things and not just, well, we went back to Shadow of Mordor, this 3-year-old game, and now it's in 4K and it looks a little prettier. Like I want to see games that are actually like made to take advantage of the power advantages they have now, which I understand. To a degree you can't, because you're still limited by the old box, but still. Outside of that, the only other thing I'm like worried about is like I mentioned with like Anthem, like Destiny 2, Ghost Recon to a point. Like there's a lot of these games out now that are like games as a service, so they're just kind of like ongoing and being supported throughout time. So I worry like Anthem's coming out late 2018. If in 2019 you start rolling out new consoles, like what becomes of that user base over time? Like does Anthem get ported to the PS5? Is this going to split the user base? Like I start worrying about stuff like that, where I think it's still kind of too soon, because there's a lot of these games that are really just now hitting their stride. Obviously, Destiny 2 is going to still have content coming out. So like I worry what's going to happen with things like that if you start, rolling out new consoles in 2019.
What if you make the unit backwards compatible? If it just kind of rolls right along, doesn't that kind of alleviate that?
Maybe, but I would still assume that unless you're, I don't know, actually, because I think Xbox One, if you're doing backwards compatible games, you're playing on 360 servers or servers for 360 games, right? It would be fine in some degree, but I don't know. But either way, I know backwards compatibility seems like a given just because we're on, PC architecture now. So I don't think it's that much of a stretch to expect backwards compatibility from either console going forward, as long as we're staying on the x86 architecture. But I don't know. That's a good point.
I think Sony's just in a position where they don't really have to rush out the PS5. I mean, yes, the Xbox One X is, packs quite a punch. It's far superior than the PS4 Pro. But I think Sony has the luxury of kind of sitting back, seeing what kind of difference the multi-plat games look on the Xbox One X compared to the PS4 Pro. Plus, we got to remember that these systems right now are tied to the base models, the PS4 and the Xbox One. So it's not like there's a whole lot more they can do with these games. I mean, they can make them prettier and whatnot, but they're still tied to the base models. Whereas the PS5, Sony's going to be like, hey, look, the PS5 is the PS5. Yes, it can go backwards compatible, but the games that we make for the PS5 are going to be for the PS5, and they're going to really take advantage of next gen hardware. So I think Sony has the luxury to kind of just play it safe. Now they've got the install base, they've got a lot of great exclusives lined up. I think they can milk the PS4 for a while. I think 2019 at the late 2019. If not, I think it's going to be a 2020 system.
I had a question for you. I just thinking of this while you were talking about going backwards, but like how we've talked about like kind of like this phone model before.
Mm-hmm.
Like you look at your iPhone now, and like certain games are backwards compatible with certain iPhones. Like where we're at now, you're not allowed to do like Pro or X exclusive games. Do you think like if the PS5 were to be announced for 2019, if that actually does happen, Like, do you think by that point, like, the Pro is going to be like the base PS4? So if you're looking at backwards compatibility, you're releasing a game on the PS4 at that point in time, you're still like, it's only playable on the Pro, but also on the PS5. Like, do you see that as a problem?
I think that gets into like a real kind of gray. I think that gets kind of messy, to be honest with you. And I think that's probably a lot on the devs. Obviously, I don't know what it takes for a developer to get a game running on three or four different systems, but I do know that it's not the same as like going with regular PCs with different specs. I mean, consoles are a different beast altogether, and I think that would make things quite difficult for developers and very confusing for consumers.
No, totally. Yeah. I don't know. That's something I was thinking about now, because like, he mentioned the PS4 Pro like specifically, and I wondered like if it would become like okay at the point of the PS5 being out to make games that are playable only on the 4 Pro and not the base 4, because at that point you're wanting people to move on anyways. So I don't know, that'd be weird, but it's the thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, I just always go back to technology, man. It's like these new graphics cards, these new processors, they're coming out seemingly like every year now. You know, AMD's got something or NVIDIA's got something. They're just constantly coming out with new stuff, and I don't know that they would wait until 2021 to see a PS5. I think he's onto something with 2019. I think at the latest, maybe 2020, depending on what's in the pipeline here from like Naughty Dog and Kojima and those guys, and getting some of those games out. But yeah, I think we're closer to the PS5 than we are further away from it in this generation, if that makes sense. Yeah, and it's going to be one of the very interesting things to watch with Xbox as well, because they're coming out with their mid-generation refresh with their X. They're coming out with that a year after Sony came out with theirs. So Sony's already thinking about their next piece of hardware. So how long are they going to want to be the system that's underpowered when compared to the X now? Now that the coin is going to flip, how long are they going to want to deal with that now? Moving into the future, does that accelerate when we see the PlayStation 5? All these are going to be interesting questions that are going to be answered at some point, but it'll be fun to watch though. So moving on from there, PlayStation 4 games are now officially in the PlayStation Now lineup. So this is something I want to test out this week. I want to see how PlayStation Now works. I've never tested it out. No, it's a little bit different from when it first launched, but it's over 500 games on here now. It's 51 PS4 games as part of the PlayStation Now lineup. Just curious how this works. I might fire up the free trial this week to give that a whirl. Horizon Zero Dawn's newest patch is live now. So this first and foremost adds the ultra hard difficulty to the game. Adds a couple new trophies in there as well if you want to go in there and try to grab some new ones. Let's be on the lookout for that. Also on the subject of Guerrilla, Steven Terhide has left Guerrilla. He's been with the studio for a long time. Sounds like he's leaving just to like many of these big AAA developers do, go out, do their own thing, try and step foot into the independent space, and see how that goes for him. So we wish Steven the best, and then we'll be interested to see where he goes from here. A couple other small nuggets here on the PlayStation side of things. Persona's game director appears to be preparing a traditional RPG for the PlayStation 4 as his next project. Don't have any other details on it other than that, but I know fans are frothing at the mouth to get their hands on his next project. Just before we started the show here, Warframe put up what's the name of the developer? Digital Extremes? I believe it's those guys. They put up a post on the PlayStation blog outlining Plains of Eidolon, which is a new expansion coming to Warframe later this year. That sounds like it's going to add some type of an open world, like shared world space to the game. Right. So it sounds pretty interesting. And then a very cool looking game, Next Up Hero. It's coming to the PS4 in 2018 as well as the Xbox One. It's a twin stick, very cartoony looking shooter. Looks like a lot of fun. Something I'll be keeping my eye on.
I think that's by the Scribblenauts devs.
Oh, is that the Scribblenauts guys?
I believe so.
Fifth Cell? Is that those guys?
Yep, that's them.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, I think the game looks totally awesome, so definitely on board for that.
Cool. Thank you, Mr. Boyce. Up next, let's talk some Xbox. First up, the Halo Summer Celebration has begun, and they had 343 had a lot to say about Halo. First up, Halo 5 will receive a game update to support true 4K with the release of Xbox One X later this year. So there you
my
go.
Shocked face.
No way. And Halo 5 will receive what everyone expected it to receive, a true 4K update when Xbox One X launches later this year. In other news, Halo 3 ODST, Halo 4, and Halo CE Anniversary are all coming to backwards compatibility. Frankie,
Why?
I ask you why.
Why? Did nobody buy the Master Chief Collection?
Maybe because those versions run better than the Master Chief Collection. Who knows?
I'll have to ask JD.
JD will definitely give us some insight on that one.
Wasn't that the thing, Frankie, when they started backwards compatibility? They were like, we don't want to do titles that have already been remastered and are on the system.
Yeah, which is why I still understand why Call of Duty Ghosts is backwards compatible. Why? I don't get it.
Yeah,
That's weird, yeah.
I gotta believe a lot of Xbox One owners went out and bought the Master Chief Collection, so they have most of these games already.
Yeah.
It just seems strange that you would make an effort to get those same games in their 360 form out of the Xbox One.
I guess achievement people who didn't already get all the achievements, maybe?
Possibly. That could be it. Maybe they want to go back and get the 100%. That's a valid point. We also got some more information on Halo Wars 2 DLC, Frankie. First, in July, you'll get Serena and Operation Spearbreaker. August, you can expect a Yap Yap the Destroyer. That's a sweet name, Yap Yap the Destroyer. But this fall is when the new premium expansion, Awakening the Nightmare, will launch, which includes a new campaign from the perspective of the Banished, the return of an ancient and deadly foe in the Flood, and 2 banished leaders, and a brand new multiplayer game mode called Terminus Firefight. So a lot of content coming your way for Halo Wars 2. Any interest in the Awakening the Nightmare expansion later this year, Frankie?
Yeah, actually. I'm kind of pissed because it's not included in the season pass for Halo Wars 2, even though I bought the Ultimate Edition of the game.
Ultimate Edition, right.
Which I don't understand. Ultimate Edition should encompass everything. No?
You would think.
Does that not make sense? I don't know, but whatever. I don't know. I don't care. I loved Halo Wars 2, so I will happily buy another single-player add-on. Kind of regret buying the Ultimate Edition because I figured that would be included with that for the season pass, because it did mention single-player content, and so far it's just been new commanders for Blitz mode, which I don't play that online, so I don't really get to use.
Is that what the July and August updates are too, or just commanders for Blitz mode?
I think so. That's what they sound like. So.
Well, at least you got something big coming towards you this fall, though, with the Awakening the Nightmare.
Yeah. Well, when's it coming out? It's after September 6th?
Probably, yeah.
No.
It's a bad time after September 6th. Up next, Cuphead is 100% a Microsoft exclusive. A developer from Studio MDHR was on NeoGAF, and he said this, quote, "Yes, this Cuphead game is exclusive to Xbox and PC with Steam and Windows 10 versions at launch and a GOG release likely shortly after," end quote. Additionally, the studio confirmed that they own the IP. So while the first Cuphead game won't appear on PlayStation 4, it's possible that any potential sequels could be multi-platform.
Was it ever a question that this game was an exclusive? I always thought it was an exclusive.
Yeah, I thought Microsoft dumped money into it. So I figured, why would it come to PlayStation if Microsoft helped fund it?
Yeah, there was never a point where I was like, man, can't wait for this to show up on PlayStation 4 a year later for trophies. Never thought about it. I was like, this is an Xbox game. So
yeah,
I think it's one of those things where people we're hearing all these different definitions of exclusive now. So you have like launch exclusive, like world console exclusive. So it's like all these messages are getting muddied. So people are trying to figure out what kind of an exclusive Cuphead is. Like, look, you guys say this is exclusive, but is this what does that mean?
Right.
So that I think that's where this whole conversation stemmed from, and they're like, look, this is 100% an Xbox exclusive, and like you said, it's cool that they own the IP. So
yeah.
And from what you guys said, I understand the same thing, that Microsoft has contributed to this game, so that's why it'll only be on their platform. But moving forward, if this game is successful and they decide to make another one, in 2022, we could see Cuphead 2 on a variety of platforms.
Moving along, Fable Fortune. The release date of Fable Fortune has been delayed. It's been pushed back to July 25th. This is the collectible card game set in the Fable universe. The Fable spin-off was previously scheduled to come to PC and early access and Xbox One in game preview on July 11th, but due to, quote, an administration hiccup, end quote, developers Mediatonic and Flaming Fowl Studios aren't able to launch the Xbox One version of the game next week. As such, in order to release the PC and Xbox One versions simultaneously and make the most of crossplay between the two platforms, Fable Fortune's launch has been pushed back a few weeks. Fable Fortune is free-to-play and features both player versus player and cooperative gameplay and 6 heroes to choose from, each with special sets of powers. Frankie, any interest in this game? I know you've been interested in the Elder Scrolls Legends. That's a card game. Any interest in this one? It's free-to-play. You might be able to hop in there if there's cooperative stuff.
I heard game preview, so no. But
oh boy. Yeah.
my other thing is is my interest in a card game really kind of just boils down to being mobile, because I don't really. There's no appeal for me just sitting on the couch playing a card game on TV. I
Fair enough.
can't really get behind that. But for some reason, I feel like on my phone, it's a different story.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, where the hell is Elder Scroll Legends?
I don't know. I'm kind of bummed because I thought I could have sworn at E3 they said that it'll be up by the end of the month, and
They did say it at the end of the month.
We're now almost midway through July, and I got no update on Android, so still
I got
just
nothing either on iPhone, man. I keep checking every day. I'm like, where is this thing at? But
Yeah.
turn to Twitch and there's Pete Hines just sitting there playing it on PC and just not talking about the phone versions that should be out now. But that's cool, man. No problem, Pete.
just waiting, man. Just sitting here with my money waiting.
Just waiting to plop the money down. The Gears of War 4 July update has been detailed. You're going to get some new maps. You get Raven Down, which is from Gears of War 1. And then you also get Reclaimed Wind Flare. This is where this map sounds pretty sweet. Whether you're in Versus or in Horde mode, the Wind Flare will periodically roll into the map, challenging to battle your enemies and the elements. Now, if you remember correctly, Frankie, that Wind Flare mission was freaking awesome. And if they can get that type of activity going on during a match of PvP or Horde mode, that's going to be awesome.
It's gonna be very intense, that's for sure.
Man, I am just ass at Gears of War multiplayer, but I would happily suck playing around on that map.
Yeah,
That'd be
try
pretty
it
sweet. And then the last bit of Xbox news, this one I'm actually kind of excited to check out. Super Cloud Built is coming to the Xbox One on July 28th. This is a parkour platform speedrunning game. Players who pre-order this game will receive exclusive early access to the opening stages of Super Cloud Built, with access to the tutorial, 3 full levels, and a playground practice area. This exclusive area is designed to let you master the controls before other people have even considered the phrase grenade jumping, and won't be available outside of pre-orders. The practice area has its own set of leaderboards, so you can work on shaving down those times, making you fully skilled for launch day, and replay those levels to your heart's content in ranked mode. You'll also receive 4 free pre-order exclusive character outfits for Demi to wear when the full game launches. Log into your Double ID account in the demo to unlock, on top of a tasty 10% pre-order discount. Did any of you guys watch the trailer for this game? What'd you think of it, boys?
Looks excellent.
I think this looks awesome.
Yeah, love the art style. I like the kind of pencil drawn look to it. It reminded me a little bit of Drawn to Death with its art style. Yeah, it has a little bit of the Drawn to Death art style in it. I like the fast-paced rocket pack platforming and kind of the shooting elements they add into it. I think the game looks excellent, man. Yeah, it really looks like it could be something fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely actually going to pick this up because this looks great. It looks like the gameplay from like the tutorial mission of Titanfall, where you're just kind of running around walls, and, hanging walls, jumping off them, and dodging lasers and whatnot. I mean, this game actually looks really, really good. So I'm excited to try this out on July 28th. So definitely check it out. If you pre-order, you get some bonuses. That's definitely worth looking into. But that's your Xbox news. Time to jump into Lords of the Fallen 2 specifically. And things not looking so good for Lords of the Fallen 2 right now, as the director has been let go and the project size has been reduced. And by reduced, I mean considerably.
Yeah. Why is that?
We'll get into who we can thank for that one. Previous director, Thomas Gap, had this to say: I was let go because of a reduction in the team, in scope, in budget, in business approach. So, wham.
They closed?
That's like a quadruple whammy.
It wasn't good. There came a time when Sniper This is Thomas continuing to talk. This is what he had to say. There came a time when Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 was the most important thing for CI Games. The next big hit. It also might have been the reason why Lords was not progressing as fast. Of course, it's not uncommon knowledge that Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 didn't go exactly according to plan, especially if it goes by sales. Well, here we are. CI Games head Marek Tominsky had this to say: the market is really changing because you see some major releases, the real blockbusters, doing great numbers, but then you have games that are called AAA, but in fact they're not AAA by today's standards. Maybe they were by 3 years ago standards, and they are suffering by not really selling as many units as anyone projected. If anyone had high projections for Sniper Ghost Warrior 3, they should be fired immediately.
They probably
That's
were.
not him. They were, including one of the directors. Definitely Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 is one of them, but there are several examples, even lately, without me telling you which games I'm talking about. There are definite several examples. So the market is changing. It's consolidating among the largest releases. Considering that, I don't see CI Games being able to, in the near future, raise even more the production budget and marketing budget and really being able to compete at the blockbuster level. But definitely the studio's ambitions and the people who are working for CI, we definitely want to make great games, end quote. Tominsky also added in an interview with Eurogamer that a very small team is currently working on Lords of the Fallen 2. So basically, short story is the CI Games invested a ton of money, a ton of ambition into Sniper Ghost Warrior 3. It bombed out terribly, and now the studio is paying for it. They don't have the money or resources to go for AAA, and so they're cutting back production big time on Lords of the Fallen 2, and I don't think we should expect a release date anytime soon on this game. Boys, what's your thoughts on what's going on with CI Games, man?
Yeah, I don't expect a release date at all for this game. So it sounds like, I mean, they've just drastically reduced the scope. So, I mean, they're basically going to have to go back to the drawing board on this, right? Mm-hmm. They can't make the game that they were trying to make before. So I'm picturing Lords of the Fallen 2 coming out as like a side-scrolling pixel art game, as like where they go for the game moving forward.
Oh no!
Like Salt and Sanctuary style.
Yeah, Salt and Sanctuary style, which would be awesome. But yeah, but the original Lords of the Fallen developer, Deck 13, they went on and they made the Surge. Mm-hmm. So this was like a new group working on Lords of the Fallen 2 anyways, and CI Games doesn't have a proven track record, so I'm not sure how this game was going to turn out anyways. So it's unfortunate that people are losing their jobs and the project size is being reduced, but I don't even know if this thing was going to turn out the way that we would all want it to turn out anyways. So it sounds like it's been reduced so much that it's all but canceled at this point, if I'm reading between the lines. I mean, if like seriously, where do you go from here if you have what was the quote? Very, very small team?
A very small team.
You have a very small team working on what's supposed to be a AAA game with Dark Souls kind of like production values. So I don't know how you get a very small team to make a game like that, but this is just hanging on by a thread at this point.
And I talked about it in my review, Sniper Ghost Warrior 3. It had some ideas that were sound in there, but they just didn't have for whatever reason, the budget, the resources, the power behind them to really materialize into anything like really, really awesome for a AAA. They aimed for AAA, but it was so shallow in so many areas, and not to mention just a technical shit show. But it basically killed the studio. I mean, obviously they're not closed, but this has it hurt the studio more than it did good. And now the Lords of the Fallen 2 is taking the brunt of it, and that's not good because Lords of the Fallen has a decent following behind it, and there's a lot of people excited for Lords of the Fallen 2, but Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 might have just shot this thing through the heart.
Yeah, and this is a perfect example of the tolls that AAA development can take on your studio. Right? Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
I mean,
when you don't hit the mark on a AAA a game with a budget, I know. If you fail to meet those expectations, especially when it's a smaller studio like CI Games, like you mentioned, that doesn't have the track record of kicking out AAA games, that's a make or break deal right there, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, to go from Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 and then immediately hop into the AAA development of Lords of the Fallen 2, like that just doesn't sound like that was going to turn out very well.
No. Boys, last bit of news. What's going on with Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm?
I was kind of excited when I heard them announce this, but they're putting together an entire remastered collection of the Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm games. So these are games I've always wanted to play. They always look really cool. So Ultimate Ninja Storm 1, 2, 3, and 4, they're all going to be on one collection, and it's coming in a pretty cool package, and it's got a release date now, which I believe is late August.
Perfect timing.
I tell you what, man, August is just jam-packed with titles. It's like everybody knows they got to get in there before Destiny 2. Mm-hmm. So they're throwing as much stuff in August as they can, but there's a lot of really high-quality releases. I just really like this package that they're putting it out in. So on August 25th, this Ultimate Ninja Storm Legacy Collection, they're calling it, is going to be available. It's got a badass steelbook, a really cool art book, and the entirety of the Ultimate Ninja Storm saga, remastered and available on current gen consoles. So I've already pre-ordered this. I pre-ordered it, weeks ago when it was first announced. So I'm really looking forward to this, man. I think these games always looked really cool. CyberConnect 2 put a lot of their heart and soul into these games, and they look like they're pretty sweet.
Cool. I dig it. All right, so that's it for the news. We're going to jump into a little segment here where we're going to kind of talk about our favorite games of 2017 so far. We've each picked up a couple of games that we've either played through extensively or completed to kind of talk about that are highlights from this year thus far. We've got a couple of titles each. Boyce, let's start with you because you have such a massive list to go over. Start us off with our mid-year check-in, buddy.
Well, Brent, a lot of games that have come out this year, a lot. So I decided the best thing to do was not play any of them. So
perfect. Richest person here.
Yeah, instead of trying to figure out what I'm gonna play and play through all of them, I just said, the hell with it. I'm not gonna play any games. I'm just gonna sit here and vicariously play these games through other people. Yeah, and I'm just gonna play Destiny. So I unfortunately have not got to play a lot of the AAA games that I wanted to play this year. I've only very briefly played Horizon. Loved what I played of it. Only briefly played The Legend of Zelda. I just started playing Crash recently, so really like what I've played of that too. So don't have a lot to talk about on the AAA side of things. What I will do though is I'll talk about some of the games I've enjoyed playing on the Indie Spotlight this year. Mm-hmm. I wanted to start first and foremost with Fly Wrench. So this is a game I played earlier in the year, and it's such a simple game. It looks like an Atari game. It's just a series of lines, and you control a segment like this long that's supposed to be like your spaceship, and you just kind of move your spaceship through these different hazards, and you kind of change colors to get to the different hazards. It's a very simple, very clever game, but it's so hard. It's so difficult to maneuver this thing. It's like it's got a little bit of Flappy Bird in it too, in terms of how you control the ship, because it's constantly moving. It never stops in motion. But it's an infinitely clever game. The soundtrack in that game is incredible.
It's awesome.
What an awesome soundtrack in Fly Wrench. And you need a soundtrack like that for a game like this because you're dying so many times over and over. But the soundtrack keeps you pumped up. It keeps you going. So I just really enjoyed Fly Ranch. It's not an expensive game. I think it's $6.99 on the PSN, so it's probably something that a lot of people have not had a chance to play or even know what it is. But we have an indie spotlight up on the site for it, so go and check out me playing Fly Ranch and getting pissed off because I keep dying. But I think Fly Ranch is an awesome game, man. Brent, I know you picked it up and played it a little bit as well. But that's the first one I wanted to mention.
Cool. Frankie, over to you, sir.
So before I jump into the stuff for this year, there are. I'll just talk about two of them. There are two games I finished that came out within the last couple of years that I finished this year. The first being Oxenfree, which I had missed out playing last year. Played this on New Year's, I think. I got the platinum like that day because I loved it. I kept playing it. The story was really great, and kind of seeing like as you play through it more and more, like the game kind of acknowledges in sort of a creepy way that you've already played it before. So I loved it. Like if you're a sucker for kind of supernatural story driven games, I highly recommend checking out Oxenfree. It might be on sale on Xbox right now in the Ultimate sale. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. But
I believe it is.
even if it's not, you should pick it up. It's not that expensive, I don't think. And the other one, of course, being The Witcher 3. I can't tell you how happy I am to sit here and tell you that I've seen the ending credits of The Witcher 3. If you would ask me like, a year, even 2 years ago, if I would ever play this game, hell no. There was just no possible way with my work schedule that I was ever going to sit down and play this. But, now that I'm kind of on like a reduced hours thing, I don't really have to go in until later. I've had a chance to actually kind of come home not as exhausted and sit down and really sink the time into like a lot of longer games this year, which is the only reason I've actually finished anything. But I made it a point, like, all right, I'm going to have all this time. I really want to play The Witcher 3. I love it. Like, that game, easily maybe my favorite game of the generation so far. It is just awesome story. I love the combat. The mission structure was enjoyable. I think it took me about 78, 79 hours to get through, and I did not get tired of that game all the way through the end. So at some point, I want to go back and play the DLC, mostly because JD won't shut up and keeps sounding me to do it. But outside of that, like that game is really fun, and I'm actually really excited to play the DLC at some point. So with those out of the way, I'm just going to start with the first game I actually got to play this year, Yakuza 0.
Yeah.
Dude, I've been wanting to get into the Yakuza franchise for a long time now. It's been hard because like you look at the PlayStation 3 and Yakuza 3 is the first game on there. Yakuza 1 and 2 are on the PlayStation 2. They're really hard to find. They're not backwards compatible. So it was kind of hard for me to like find a real jumping in point for the series. So Yakuza Kiwami is coming out next month, which is a remake of the first game. I have 3 through 5 on the PlayStation 3, so I really just need to get another PS3 at some point. But wanting to hop in because it's a very story-driven series, so I wanted to hop in at the beginning. So 0, obviously being a prequel to everything, gave me that chance, and I loved it, man. Like, I got absolutely engrossed in the story. The characters are incredible. The combat's really fun. Like each character you play in the game, Majima and Kiru, both of them have different fighting styles. Like each of them have different fighting styles altogether, so they're not at all the same characters. But it is like watching some of the combos you do in that game where you're literally picking guys up, jumping up in the air, and just slamming their heads into the ground. And then after the fight, they just kind of get up and walk, just not like nothing happened. Like, oh yeah, it sucks, you're a jerk, and just walk away. But like everything, like the world is just everything about those games. From what I'm gathering from my time with Yakuza 0, is just so painstakingly like detailed, and man, I loved it. The quality, the story, everything. Like it was a fantastic game to start the year off to for me.
Awesome. That's a good game. That's a game I got to jump into one of these days. I got to play a Yakuza game. I know you've spoken very highly of it, and I read your review. It was a great review.
Yeah.
And I do have a lot of interest in that game. I would love to try to play one of those one day. So
small spoiler, JD I think is playing through it now, and we've been discussing doing some kind of Yakuza podcast at some point. So I'm excited about that. I know he just finished Yakuza 4 not too long ago. So he just got his PS4, so he's playing through Yakuza 0, and we're talking about doing some kind of Yakuza podcast sometime soon. So look forward to that.
Sweet. I'll be interested to check that out. My first pick for this year is Resident Evil 7. It was a return to form for the franchise. It's the best Resident Evil game I've played in I don't know how long, probably since the first one. The Baker family are worthy adversaries, a worthy antagonist, very disturbing. The gameplay itself is taut. It's intense. The atmosphere is thick and creepy, and it really is one of the best Resident Evil games, one of the best horror games I've played in a long time. It's just an excellent game. The story's great. The VR implementation is excellent. It adds to the immersion incredibly. Even though one of the first boss battles was a bit hard to handle in VR, but that's more to my own issue than it is the game. But it was an excellent game. It was really, really good, with the exception, I would say, that the final boss battle was a little underwhelming compared to everything else in the game. But other than that, even that wasn't enough to take away from the experience. It was just an excellent game. I'm so happy that the franchise has kind of gone back to its roots in the best way possible, and I can't wait to see where they take the franchise from here, how they can build on this one, and hopefully stay away from what they tried doing with not so much 4. I liked 4, but 5 and 6. So
I like 5 a lot.
I'm sorry, no, 5. 5 is the one that I liked. That people didn't like was 5. 5 I enjoyed. 6 I didn't really care for, but 7 is definitely ideal for a Resident Evil game, and I'm just so ecstatic that it did as well as it did. It was a great experience. So,
Did you play in the DLC, Brent?
I never got around to the DLC. No, once I beat the game, I had to start jumping into other stuff. But I would love to go back and revisit the DLC at some point. So, Bender, your first pick, buddy.
Well, unsurprising to anyone, Zelda. It's going to be one of the first games I want to talk about. It's definitely my favorite game I've played this year. Even if you're not a Zelda fan, I think it's something that anyone can enjoy. It's got a huge open world that's infinitely explorable. There's so much to do, and the ability to be able to climb up almost anything just makes for some really awesome gameplay and exploration. It's after playing through that game for over 120 hours, I wish I could climb everything in every game. But yeah, it's so great. Story is a little weak. I mean, the voice acting is spotty. It's not a perfect game by any means, but it's the best Zelda game I've played, and it's one of my favorite games I've played ever, and definitely one of my favorites this year. So yeah, that game is fantastic.
I just want to give a quick shout out to Bender. Obviously, we did the Playing by the High Rules spoiler cast with JD. Bender was the one who handled all that, put together the outline, did all the editing. It's a fantastic spoiler cast series, if I may say so myself. But it's this has actually been my first Zelda game too, so kind of getting to experience that and kind of share my experiences with you guys. It's been a lot of fun. So Bender did an awesome job on that series. So thank you.
Thanks,
sure
man.
did.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that show. It was a lot of fun talking about Zelda with you guys, and hopefully we can do another similar type of spoiler cast at some point. But yeah, that game was great, and that podcast was a lot of fun.
You can check out all 8 episodes of Playing by the High Rules available on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, and TuneIn. Definitely worth a look. They're fantastic. These guys love Zelda, and they talk about a lot of great elements of all different aspects of the game. So very cool stuff. Check that out. Boyce, back to you.
Next game I'm going to mention is a game I've played recently, but Nex Machina. So this is obviously Housemarque is one of my favorite developers on the planet. I've pretty much been in love with every single game they've ever released, and Nex Machina is really no different. It's a twin stick shooter, a masterclass in the twin stick shooter genre. Just the way Housemarque is able to create a game that's easy to pick up and play, but difficult to master and infinitely replayable. They just have a knack for doing that, and they just do the arcade shooter better than anybody else out there. And Nex Machina it clearly was heavily influenced by Eugene Jarvis, the creator of Smash TV and Robotron and some of these other games. I mean, Nex Machina really feels like Housemarque's version of Smash TV. And that's really what it comes down to. The tight, confined quarters, the just balls to the wall action, the epic bosses. It's all there in this game. All the stuff that you know and love from Housemarque. It's all in the Nex Machina package, and enjoyed my time with it. Now on my quest to try and get the platinum in the game. So I do want to add another Housemark Platinum to the chest. There's a couple tough ones in there, like beating the game without using a continue, or beating the game on some of the higher difficulties, which I'm gonna have to contend with. But it's that last boss is tough. So getting through that last boss and some of the higher difficulties, I can imagine is going to be quite the ordeal. But it's a great game. If you like twin stick shooters, like, you absolutely have to play. Like, even if you don't like twin stick shooters, you should probably play it anyways, because Nex Machina is an awesome game. Got a bitchin' soundtrack as well. So just a sweet game. You should definitely play it.
Cool. Yeah, it is a great game. It's a beautiful looking game in motion too.
Yeah,
Especially if you're playing
HDR on there.
Oh,
is
man.
wild.
It's filthy.
Yeah.
So definitely give that a look. See, it is a really, really good game. Check out the review on our website. It's right there for your liking. Ben wrote a great review, and it really is. It's an awesome game. Frankie.
Next game I'm gonna go with is Halo Wars 2. This one stands out higher on my list to me because I don't typically strategy games aren't ones I typically get into at all. This is the same reason why like the Banner Saga was on my Game of the Year list. Was that last year? 2 years ago? 2 years ago. Just because like I don't typically play those games, and when I do, when I find one that really grabs me, like that experience stands out to me more than anything else. You know, even like playing something like Zelda, like I'm still gonna look at like Halo Wars 2 and be like, I know this game was really great, and I don't know, like actually like not only like playing with you and kind of getting in there and getting like a feel for the game, but then like once I went through and finished it with without anyone else helping me with anything, like actually learning the different roles of the different troops and like how to actually play that game. It just felt a lot more rewarding, like going through there and finishing some of these missions, even though I got like bronze medals on all of them. But
right,
even still, like I think the story was fantastic. For the Halos stories I've experienced, this one's been the best one. But that only comes with like Halo 5 in comparison. So, but yeah, I think that's a great game. I think if you're at least interested in the Halo universe, do you have any interest in like the Halo lore, Halo Wars 2 story is well worth getting in there and playing through it. Even if you're not a strategy game fan, you can still brute force your way through it. It's not exactly the way to play the game, but as long as you can experience that story, it's going to be worth your time.
Right. Yeah, that's a game I need to get back to and try to complete, because we got through, how many missions did we get through together?
5.
So 3 or 4, 5 missions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting back into that game and trying it out, because it really was quite a learning experience. I'm obviously not a skilled real-time strategy player, but it is a genre I would like to get a little bit better at. I mean, and you mentioned, you like the Banner Saga. I mean, that's a turn-based game. Was it kind of a big step jumping into real-time strategy as opposed to turn-based?
Yeah, definitely. Turn-based.
There's a lot more you have to manage.
There really is, and it's all on the fly. Like if something starts going wrong, you need to figure out a solution right then and there. Whereas if you're in a turn-based game, typically I don't have a timer to contend with or anything, so I can kind of sit there and actually plot out what I want to do from there. But playing like Halo Wars 2, like if something starts going wrong, you immediately need to get back to your base and start, getting more troops ready or something figured out, or you're going to fail the mission.
It would definitely require some quicker thinking and even quicker reactions. So yeah, but great game, good choice. My next game is going to be Rise and Shine. This came out back in January. It's a shooter that is just absolutely gorgeous to look at. I mean, it's a beautiful art style. The actual story is actually filled with a lot of humor, a lot of references to video games. And it's hard as hell. I mean, that was the other selling point of this game. It is a very difficult game. You cannot just jump into this game and just be like, oh, this will be easy. You will die a lot in this game, and that's not even playing on the hardest setting. It is just an absolutely beautiful game. It's a fun game. It's a challenging game, and the story was much better than I was anticipating. So, Rise and Shine. It's available on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One now. If you like a challenge, if you like beautiful art styles, please check out Rise and Shine. It is worth the price of admission. Check out my review. That's up on the site as well. Definitely worth a look. Bender?
Well, I know I've talked about it before, but I'm going to talk about Horizon Zero Dawn again. Got the Platinum Trophy. I really, really enjoyed my time with that game. Huge open world, beautiful, artistically. I mean, it's one of the best looking games I've seen. The story is really great. A lot of mystery involved, and it's really interesting to learn more about that world and how humanity got to that point, and where the robots came from, and all of that stuff is really cool to find out as you play through the game. The story is really interesting. The characters are great. And not just in the main quest, like the side quest stories, a lot of those are really interesting and cool as well. You meet some cool characters along the way as you go through, and it all kind of culminates to this cool ending, and I really loved it. So it's a lot of fun to play. You've got a lot of different weapons and equipment that you can use to take out these enemies, and it's all really, really, really cool. So I can't wait for the DLC. But yeah, that's probably, after Zelda, it's probably one of my favorite games I played this year.
Yeah, I definitely wish I could get back in and play Horizon Zero Dawn. I played quite a bit of it, but I didn't feel I played enough of it to kind of include it on this list. But from what I have played so far, it really is an awesome game. That is a world I'd love to just go around and explore. Run into Thunder Jaws occasionally. That battle was just awesome. I absolutely loved my first encounter. It was intense, but it was very rewarding once I took them down. So the game's got a lot of strong elements to it. I'm sure it'll be on my list if I can get around to finishing it up. Hopefully, I'm hoping to jump back into it next week, actually. So, or this week, try to get some more time in with it. So,
nice,
boys, you're up.
Shamefully, I've not played through Horizon either. Just pretty much the story of my life. So, but I'm my next game is a little indie game called Destiny. No, I'm just playing. But I've spent a lot of time playing Destiny: The Age of Triumph this year, so it's partly the reason why I haven't done some of the things I'm supposed to do. But the next game I want to mention is Victor Vran. So this is a game that's it's been out for I don't know how many years on the PC now, but it made its way over to consoles this year. When it came on the PS4, I picked it up, played it on the Indie Spotlight with you, Brent, and before I knew it, 2 hours had passed by. So the longest Indie Spotlight we've ever done with Victor Vran, because the game was just really fun. Yeah. It was a fun Diablo-style game to just get into. It was fun to play. It felt good to play. It was running at 60 frames on the Pro. I think it runs at 60 frames on the PS4 base as well. So it's just a great performing game, a great looking game. I love that whole setting. It's got a Castlevania vibe to it. Mm-hmm. A Van Helsing vibe to it is really strong in there as well. So there's some depth in there too in terms of the upgrade system, and I like the weapons. Like using a shotgun in a game like that is kind of cool, to be in this like Victorian setting fighting monsters and blowing them away with shotguns. But if you're at all a fan of Diablo type games or action RPGs, like you probably have already played Victor Vran, but if not, highly recommend you go and check that out. Brent would really like to get back into that game and play some more. I thought it was really, really fun when we played it on the Spotlight.
Oh, it was, man. It's a really, really good game. Really fun. Like you said, it runs great. The art style, the setting is fantastic. But there's a lot of depth there with your character and the different weapons you can use and the different attacks. And it is really a really good game. You can check out that video on our YouTube channel. Check out the Victor Vran co-op stream for the Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight. Really, really fun game.
I like watching you leave Ben behind all the time. So if you want to see all the boss fights, you're watching the right feed.
If you want to watch somebody walk around and go, "Where are you?" Oh, hey, did you see this chest over here? No, I'm dying, Ben. But Frankie, you're next, buddy.
So my next one, I'm going to go with The Surge. I've always wanted to play through one of these, Souls or Souls-like games, but I've always lacked the time. I thought Dark Souls 3 would be the one that I'd kind of finally get to first and play through, but that didn't really happen. I want to at some point. I have the Fire Fades edition sitting around, so at some point I'm going to play through that. But in the meantime, The Surge came out. I've always wanted to play Lords of the Fallen because a lot of people I've talked to who like the Souls games said that Deck 13 made a really pretty good one of those games. So I didn't get around to that, but we lucked out. We got a review copy of The Surge, and this is a game I was planning on picking up anyways. One I even wanted to prioritize playing. So that's one of the cool things about getting to do the site stuff is that we occasionally get some reviews for some games that we're really excited about, and then we have to play them. We can't just buy them and put them on the shelf. So. But it was great. I had a great time playing that game, learning, kind of how to conquer some of those bigger machines. I especially remember there was one that it was like a 3-tiered fight. And once I finally beat that thing, I was just so pumped. Like it was like yes, like it jumped out of my chair. It's like really cool. I also had like a couple of scary moments. The second boss, the firebug, when I had finally beat that thing, I died like in the explosion of the boss itself, and I thought for sure like, oh my god, I have to beat this thing all over again. So thankfully that time it panned out. Like I went back down, picked up the stuff that I dropped and moved on. But yeah, actually like playing through one of those games from start to finish was awesome. It's something I've been wanting to do, and the Surge is a great game for that. Very well designed game. The combat is a lot of fun. I think it's one of the best like uses of the PlayStation 4 Pro. Obviously you have the quality mode where you can run the game. I don't know if it's 1440 or if it upscales to 4K, but and super samples down. But the performance mode lets you run it at 1080 and a locked 60. I didn't experience a single drop frame in a game like that. That's the utmost importance. You know what I mean? So. But yeah, I had such a great time exploring that world, like finding new upgrades, new weapons, new pieces of armor, and like actually taking down some of these giant robot bosses. It was just so much fun. I actually would really like to find time to play through it again, because there's 2 endings you can get. So I kind of want to go and figure out how to get the other ending. But it's a great time. If you're a fan of like the Souls games, I highly recommend you check out the Surge. It is fantastic.
Indeed. You can read Frankie's review on the website as well. The Surge review is up there. Frankie loved it. I played a little bit of the Surge. It is a very tough game, but like you said, playing it on performance mode was the real eye-opening experience, just seeing it run so smooth. And it really does enhance the combat when it's running so smooth. I did check it out like in the quality mode, and it's a beautiful looking game then. The image obviously gets a lot more crisp and it looks a lot better, but even then, you go back to performance mode, that's where it's at, is especially during combat. You want that 60 frame. So great. Good choice. My next choice is Farpoint. I've been waiting for a very, very good VR title to drive home to deliver the first-person experience, and Farpoint has done that. I've really enjoyed it. The PlayStation Aim controller is a phenomenal accessory, and it works great in Farpoint. The one-to-one tracking is great, and it's awesome. I mean, you can seriously lift up the aim, look down the sight of the gun, and aim at your target and hit them at a distance. I mean, it's highly accurate. It makes the game that much more immersive. One of the early bosses is just mind-blowing in VR. I still think about that, and just like the shock and awe that the emotions that I felt during that battle right there can only be experienced in VR. And that's what I love about the medium. That's what I love about VR, is just being able to be in these worlds that these developers take so much time to create. And when you're actually there, it's unmatched. It's unrivaled. It's why I love VR. And Farpoint is an excellent VR title.
Hey, Brent, the best advertisement for Farpoint is probably Arizona Sunshine. with how poor that experience was for us.
Yeah, that was just not good. That was not good. I mean, it was just... It's not. It can't even hold a candle to Farpoint. I'm sorry, it can't at all. It's just Farpoint is just leaps and bounds better. It's the definitive first-person shooter in VR. I highly recommend it. If you have PlayStation VR and you have the means, get the aim set, get the bundle, and you won't regret it. It's just an awesome experience. Plus, there's some cool cooperative elements to it as well. So definitely worth a look. Bender.
Since Frankie gets mentioned a game he reviewed, I'll give a quick shout out to a couple of games that I reviewed. First, Yooka-Laylee, which is a really cool third-person action platformer, kind of in the vein of games like Crash Bandicoot and stuff like that. I mean, not Crash Bandicoot. Banjo-Kazooie, thank you. It's in the vein of games like Banjo-Kazooie. It was really good. It was a lot of fun, a lot of cool upgrades and stuff, a lot of cool levels, great, excellent soundtrack by Grant Kirkhope. I really like that game a lot. And also Rhyme.
Oh wait,
by Tequila Works.
Before you moved on from Yooka-Laylee, I played a little bit of that game so far on the PS4. The controls for the mini games are terrible.
That's true. That's one of the things I mentioned in my review.
Yeah, but
it's one of the bad things about the game.
The big standout for me to that game though is just how true they stayed to advertising that thing as like a revival for those classic platformer games. Like it is one of those games almost to a fault. But just a lot of the stuff in there is just so cool to like go back and kind of see like in 2017, like this is like a modern version of that type of game. It's really cool. But the thing I'm excited about is I guess they're talking about the Switch version recently, and I guess they're going to be incorporating a lot of fixes that a lot of people were not happy with on the prior version. So that's Jen and her sister have mostly been playing the on the PS4, so I've just hopped in and played here and there, but I'm actually going to be my own playthrough's going to be on the Switch, so I was excited to hear that they're kind of going to be doing some tweaking to that.
Very nice. Yeah. So that's a good one. I thought they did a good job on that one. And like I was saying, Rhyme by Tequila Works is a really, really cool game. Very much very similar to games like Eco, and has things in common with like a little bit like Wind Waker in the art style, and The Last Guardian, stuff like that. But also has some kind of, later on in the game, has some influences that really remind me of Miyazaki's films, like Spirited Away, stuff like that, which I really loved. The story was really good and very emotional at the end, and it was a really cool game. So give a shout out to that one as well.
I like that game a lot. There was that rain level. I was just completely blown away at that, like the way that level, like just the look of it. Like it's just constantly raining. You have like these kind of dark, like black rocks everywhere, and just like the water effects. Like you have the rain on the ground, but you have like you could see like the water running on these rocks. It was like a technically impressive thing to me.
Yeah, no slowdown at all from all that rain falling down and everything. It's really interesting. The game goes from a really colorful, bright type of vibe to this, like at the end, this very morose, like rainy, and like the kid is like shivering from cold and fear and all this weird stuff going on. But it was a really interesting game.
Yeah, it was. I like that game.
All right, boys, back to you.
Another game I want to give a shout out to from the spotlight is Shovel Knight, Spectre of Torment. So this is it's pretty incredible what Yacht Club has done with Shovel Knight. I mean, these, especially with Spectre of Torment, this is basically a brand new game that they just gave you just because you bought the first Shovel Knight. So now it's not the case anymore. You have to either buy all the games as part of a package, or you could buy them separately for individual prices. And this is a game they could easily sell for $10 or $15 because it's a great game in and of itself. But the fact that as someone who bought the original Shovel Knight, I get all this stuff for free, it just sweetens the deal that much more. But where Plague of Shadows was very difficult to control and was just such a departure from Shovel Knight before it, Spectre of Torment is much more in line with the Shovel Knight that I know and love from the original game. So it's the platforming feels great. Spectre Knight's a fun character to use. He's easy to control, but he's also difficult to master. There's some really exquisite platforming sections in Spectre of Torment. So it's there are some tough areas to get through in there. And the way they've kind of retooled the boss battles, and they've added in some stuff about Spectre Knight's history in there. It's a whole entire prequel to Shovel Knight, and I just think it's really excellent. I've been playing it on the Vita as well. It's awesome on the Vita. For some reason I haven't finished it yet. It's a damn shame that I haven't finished Spectre of Torment, because it really is a fantastic game. I got a couple more bosses I need to get in there and get through and just go ahead and beat the game. But love Spectre of Torment. Just want to mention a few other things really quick. Brent, another game me and you played, Sniper Elite 4, was a really fun game. Loved playing through that with you. We gave it a great review on the site. And looking forward to playing through the rest of the DLC with you. So really liked my time with that game. And then also recently started playing Marvel Heroes Omega. Haven't played enough of that game, but because it just came out, but love what I played of that game. That's easily something I could spend 100 hours playing. I mean, it's that kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Franklin.
So I have two more I want to mention really quick, because I just thought of one more that I really enjoyed. I wasn't sure if Bender was going to talk about this or not, but Full Throttle Remastered. I've enjoyed like actually getting to like play through like Grim Fandango, Day of the Tentacle. You know, I've never played any of these games. I've never been like a PC gamer. I've never really been into point and click adventure games until I really started, getting into these. But I think Full Throttle has actually been my favorite of like the Tim Schafer point and click trilogy that's kind of resurfaced. I love the humor. There's some really, really great voice actors in there. I don't remember Maurice. I don't remember his last name.
LaMarche.
Yeah, he's in there.
Mark Hamill.
Yeah, Mark Hamill. I don't know why I was blanking on Mark Hamill's name, but yeah, it is. It's just a fantastic voice cast. The story was really cool, and it's. I think it's the first one that I outside of. I also looked up the Demolition Derby thing, Bender, but
Yeah.
I actually didn't. I didn't have to think too hard about a lot of this stuff. So I don't know if I'm getting smarter or just maybe these games are a little maybe this one's a little on the easier side, but yeah, if you're into the point and click adventure games, Full Throttle Remastered is another excellent one. Highly recommend checking it out. And the last game, and quite honestly, this is still one of my favorite games I played this year. But the Sexy Brutale. This is another Tequila Works game with I think Cavalier Studios. I think actually handled a lot of the development, and Tequila Works helped out with like the art style of the game. But it's kind of like this, kind of like a Groundhog Day meets Clue. Like you're playing through, you're the character who you have all these different guests at this masquerade ball that are, either getting murdered, killing themselves, or some kind of thing is happening to them to kill them. So you have to go through and find ways to prevent their demise. And as you're doing this, you're kind of learning more about why this is happening, and you kind of get to like the center of it. And I think like the story itself is really cool. The art style, like the design of the mansion, everything about that game hit all the right notes for me, and I absolutely love my time with it. It's actually the first game that I've ever gotten like the 1,000 gamer score on Xbox. So I've never really, I'm not a big achievement person since I just started a new profile, so I don't care that much about achievements. But I got hooked and I wanted the 1,000 for that game. So I at some point I want to go back on PlayStation, get a platinum trophy. But it is. The Sexy Brutality is just fantastic. I highly recommend that one as well. It's a great game.
Awesome. You can check out Frankie's review of Sexy Brutality on our website, www.shortpause.com. Bender, close out this section for us, buddy.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about one more game. I wanted to talk about What Remains of Edith Finch by Giant Sparrow. So the team behind The Unfinished Swan, which was also a great game. But they really did an awesome job with this game. It tells a really cool emotional story. You play as Edith Finch, and she's going back to her childhood home to explore and learn more about some of her family members. She's the last living member of the Finch family. All of them have died, and she's just kind of exploring this house that she's inherited and learning more about her family. And a lot of them died in very strange ways. And the way that it tells their story, you play as that family member. You play a little vignette as that family member, and it's always something very surreal and unusual that happens, and the way they tell the story is really interesting. It's very tragic, but they do it in a whimsical way that kind of makes it less depressing. But it's still very powerful and impactful, and it's just an awesome game with an awesome story. And I think if it only takes a few hours to get through it. If you want a game with a really good narrative, then I highly recommend that one. That game was awesome.
Awesome. Well, there you have it. There's some of our favorite games of 2017 so far. Obviously, we have a bunch of games still coming out the rest of the year that'll probably make our list at the end. But good stuff, guys. That was a really good segment. Lots of good games there. That's going to do it for this week's show. Let's close this out. Boys, where can we find you gaming and tweeting?
As always, Brent, I will be not tweeting at Piccolo930, and of course, that's my PSN ID as well. That's where you can find me on the Switch as well, Piccolo930. And a friendly reminder, the Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight is every Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern, on our YouTube channel. Just search out Short Pause Gaming. This week, Mr. Shifty at 10 p.m. on Tuesday. Looking forward to it.
Franklin.
Find me on PlayStation Network, Xbox Live, Nintendo Network, at Viper Strike, and I guess on Twitter as well, but I'm going to take the Piccolo 930 approach and stop tweeting that much. So
We'll see about that.
I'll believe it when I see it.
You can find me on Twitter at TheDude1979, PlayStation Network and Nintendo Switch, TheDude79, and Xbox Live, TheRealDude79. And I'll be probably doing the second half of the Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight doubleheader by streaming The Serial Cleaner. Yes. So you can definitely check that out Tuesday night, probably around 11:15, depending on what time Boyce gets done with Mr. Shifty. Bender?
I'm on Twitter at Bender_guitar. You can find me on PlayStation Network and Nintendo Network at me_Bender, and on Xbox Live at meBender82.
Great. Visit the website, www.shortpause.com. Follow us on Twitter at The Short Pause. If you enjoy this podcast, if you really like it, go over to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, write out a real nice review. If you're not quite ready to give us a 5-star rating, that's cool. Come over to the website, go right into the comments, share your feedback there. If you want to write something really nasty, well, hey, we're down with that. That's fine. Send us an email, podcast@shortpause.com. The only way this show is going to get better is if we hear from you. Your criticisms, your feedback, your suggestions. We take all that stuff to heart. We want this to be the best podcast that you never want to miss every single week. You can find this podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, Stitcher, and right here on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Short Pause Gaming. We're also on Twitch, Short Pause Gaming. And now, finally, we're on Mixer, Short Pause Gaming. So whatever your preference is for video streaming, just search Short Pause Gaming, and you'll find us there. For Mr. Holt, Mr. Ayler, and Mr. Boyce, I'm Brent Felsing. Thank you again for listening and watching the Short Pause Gaming podcast. We'll talk to you next week. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
bye.